Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's show, where we will have Billy Kyle join us to tell us a little bit about his story on how he became such a huge star. What is up, everyone? I hope everyone had a great weekend. Hopefully, the audio and the sync is working on the show. If you are watching this in the replay today, or whatever time you watch this, today, tonight, whenever, we are going to have Billy Kyle join us shortly on the show. And I want to talk to him about how he got his start on YouTube and how he got to the point that he is now, as he's fast approaching 100,000 subscribers. And that is no easy feat, ladies and gentlemen. That is a hard thing to do. Before we get started, let me go ahead and say hi to everybody in the chat. Looks like a lot of the usuals here and a couple of people I don't recognize. Matt, I appreciate you coming in and always spreading the word. Bill, Four-Eyed Canine, it's good to see you. Coast to Coast Drones, that's Bill as well. Art, good to see you in the chat. Jerry Bauer, hey, good to see you in there. Dan, always good to see you in here, man. Love seeing all the pictures of you out on your skateboard. Dan got one of the electric skateboards that I use, and those are so much fun. And as the snow melts off, we'll be doing more stuff with those in GoPros and drones. Jake's Drone Life, hello. How long it took DJI to ship my FPV drone? Like a week. It took about a week and a half before I got it. Good to see you, Art Dugout from the snow, Art. Sounds like you got a lot more snow down there than we did up in the mountains. I did actually get a lot of fun in the snow. I'll show you guys. This is what I did in the snow yesterday. And this is using a 360 camera. That's why there's no stick. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. And I wanted Billy to see this because I think Billy Kyle skis. And I think it would be really cool next time Ed comes up here and Kelly comes up here to do a little snowboarding. We try to get Billy to come up here with us. I think that would be a lot of fun. It's really hard to keep up with chat. Art Code Drone Solutions for the $5 super chat. That is awesome. Thank you so much, Art. I appreciate that. All the support you guys do, buying stickers, buying shirts, is so cool. I got an echo. Oh, it took that long to tell. I totally forgot to turn that off. Whoa, okay, that should be better. All right. I just wish I had noticed that earlier. First part of the show all going to sound like crap because of the echo. Hopefully that's fixed it, though. Woo! Lon. I can turn the echo back on for you. You want to say, yeah, it's shortstop better. Hopefully that worked. I appreciate everybody coming in. The snowboarding is so much fun and the soft stuff like that. These 360 cameras really make for great action cameras. The stability on those, even just a few years ago when we had the GoPro 4, even the GoPro 5 with stability brought into it, was nothing like what you can get now with these action cameras now. The 360 cameras now, the stability on these things is just insane. Matt's asking what my Venmo is. My Venmo is just my name, Sean Oz. I could try and find a link. Actually, let me get that off the screen first. Boom. And we will try to find the Venmo link for you guys. I just heard a beep. I think that might be our guest coming in, the one and only. You guys know him. I know he doesn't need an introduction, but let me go ahead and talk about him for just a second anyways. I met Billy at the first spin up. I'd seen him on YouTube before then. I don't even remember how many subscribers he's had, so we'll have to hit him up about that. And this kid has blown up, and he's not a kid anymore. And we're going to touch on that as well. But Billy is the guy you go to when you get a new product and you really want to see how it works. I actually watch his videos myself on the FPV drone before I even got mine in stock because I didn't want to just go out and fiddle and faddle around with it. The guy had everything up so quickly. The dude always is on top of things. His game is on point. Without any further ado, let's get Billy Kyle into the stream. What is up, Billy? How are you?
Good. Got my haircut just for this.
It looks so styling, man.
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I think this is the first time I've ever had you on the show, and I'm happy to have you here. I think everybody in the chat already knows who you are, so that's pretty dope.
Yeah, man.
I want to hear a little bit about. I want to talk to you a little bit about your YouTube, how you started. all that kind of stuff, as well as we got to talk about the new DJI FPV drone.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm sure you've already heard about this rumored Air 2S that everyone's talking about today too.
Yeah, I saw the leak come out. It was the FCC filing, and then Drone DJ like 30 minutes later follows up with a full-on photo of it.
Oh, I hadn't seen the photo. I saw some photo with like 2 sensors, one up on the top. Is that the one you're talking about, or was something else?
The photo. And I also saw, or someone messaged me that apparently that photo was circulating around in like November or something like that. Maybe I read the text message wrong.
I thought that was just some kind of user like photo, like the one with the weird sensors in the top and the side, right in the front.
Yeah, it kind of like, you know what trichophobia is? Have you heard of that?
Oh, like the fear of eyes or something?
It's like the fear of too many holes, and there's like
okay, yeah. I've heard of that.
Like it kind of like triggers that because they're so close to each other. They look like eyeballs.
Yeah, it reminds me of the look of like a spider's eyes. If you zoom in on a spider's eyes, and they have like all the freaking bajillion eyes. What is it, 8 eyes or more or something?
Well, usually there's like the FCC murmurs, and then I don't know, maybe weeks go by, and then we start seeing photos. But there's like one after the other.
Yeah, Bill Coast to Coast Drone says that's an old photo, and I think I agree with. I think it's a Photoshop. I don't think it's an actual real picture of anything. I think somebody just took an Air 2 and had some fun with it.
Yeah, I didn't look too hard at the photograph, but it is interesting that it's been circulating for that long.
Yeah. And Jane's Drone, they agree. It looks like a spider. But have you seen, speaking of the holes, the Photoshop that went around not long ago, and people were like putting this plant on their skin, and they made it look like they had these holes in their skin, this weird.
I didn't see it.
Oh my God, I wish I had one of those laying around. They're so crazy. If anyone in the chat knows what I'm talking about, you got to show a link to one of those so we can share it on here. It's one of those weird little pod plants that has all the holes and the hard things, and you find it at Hobby Lobby. You know what I'm talking about?
I haven't seen it, no.
No. Oh, the Photoshops are great though, because people were believing that like people were getting this new disease with all these holes in their bodies. Can you imagine how crappy that would be?
That's crazy. Dude,
I mean, it's 2021. Anything could happen now, though, right?
Right. Your studio looks awesome there with the Pac-Man machine back there.
I like the Miss Pac-Man. I get the Pac-Man, the Miss Pac-Man. Pac-Man has Galaga on it. Miss Pac-Man has Dig Dug on it also.
Oh, Dig Dug's the best.
Oh, I love it. And these are the arcade one-up replicas. So they're not as quality as like a full-size arcade, but in a small room like this, they're awesome. I get to play them I'm playing them almost every night before I go live.
It's a great backdrop.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's much smaller than my old one at the studio, but it's cozy. I've got foam all over the wall. You can't see it here to help keep the echo down a little bit.
No, it's nice. You got a good setup here.
Oh, well, I actually like yours.
Yeah, just the white backdrop.
Is it white? It looks gray.
Maybe, yeah, it is kind of a gray. It's kind of, I don't know. I mean, I haven't really put too much thought and effort into like creating a backdrop. I've got limited space like yourself, and I've got a lot of stuff that I don't want to show. So, I mean, really, my videos have been about the information, and I've never really cared about what's been behind me. So I just feel like a nice sterile white backdrop with a white table has just been kind of like my thing.
I think it works. In worst case scenario, you can get some gels to put in front of your lights. Yeah. Like you have lights pointed at the wall, right?
Yeah, I'm using my webcam right now, which is kind of crappy. I've got I just have a like softbox pointing on myself, and that's doing enough to hit me and hit the wall behind me.
So if you want to do it cheaply and make it look just a little fancier, grab just a couple floodlights from any Home Depot, get some colored gels, put them in front of it, put them like behind you where you're sitting, and have them behind you pointed at the wall. That way you're still lit up perfectly, and your wall can have different colors.
I've thought about experimenting because I have the little aperture lights, like they're LED panels, and those are really easy to gel or put something over top of. So the one issue, and really I guess it's fine, is they're more of like accent lights, but that's really all that I need for back there is just an accent.
Yeah, and I honestly think that works perfectly for the way that you make your content, because it's to the point. It's all about content. It's information.
Yeah,
you're not like mixing up being too goofy with anything or anything. You're to the point. You're getting the information people want, and you get on it fast, man.
Speaking of setups, have you seen Unbox Therapy's setup?
Not in a while. I used to watch those guys. It's been a while.
Dude, you've got to check it out. It's like something right out of Batman. Like his light. It's unreal. He has lights all on the ceiling all the way back, and it just kind of goes to nothingness. It's unreal.
if I made more money with YouTube, if you think this is a cool setup, like I would probably build fake cave walls and all kinds of weird
Yeah,
stuff.
that'd be badass.
But I don't make enough to do that with
It'd be
YouTube.
nice to have unlimited funds to do that.
Oh, God, yes, it would. Like some of these channels that blow up, and speaking of channels, how many subscribers are you at right now?
All right, let's see. You know what? I used to. Do you ever use like Social Blade to look up?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Social Blade was great, but now the Studio app is even better for looking at subs because it's direct sub count. I'm at 99,656, like 350 away from the big 100,000. It's going to be in like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. So if anybody is in the chat right now and you are not subscribed to Billy's channel and you're into drones, cameras, any of that tech stuff, do you do phone like iPads and phones sometimes too, right?
So I do, but you know what? I've kind of pumped the brakes on that. My biggest thing that I've really been focusing on is drones. I mean, at the end of the day, you kind of work yourself into a niche, and I always want to kind of break free from the niche and do something different on my channel. But at the end of the day, I'm happy to be in the drone niche because at least it's like badass. At least it's like cool. Like you could work yourself into a niche that gets really boring after a while. But I love doing drone stuff. So that's really what I've been focusing on recently. And with the drop of the FPV drone, I mean, geez, that's been really taking up a decent amount of my time. So the first day you got it, you give me a call and you say, how do I put turtle mode on? How do I turn the beeper on?
Because I crashed it.
I know. So that didn't take long. And I've seen all of these other people crash their drones. So what exactly happened with yours? I'm sure you've already mentioned it, but explain it to again for me.
I posted a video about it, and pretty much that video was wrong. Everything I said about it was probably, I mean, it was still my fault. It was my fault no matter what. It was my mistake. But the main reason that it kicked in and made me crash wasn't exactly what I spaced in that other video. And I actually just finished editing a new video. So when we're done with this show, I'm going to make that live, but I'll tell you what actually happened here so you don't have to watch the video. It has a failsafe, the e-brake. So the DJI FPV drone has a failsafe, and I didn't click that that's what happened until later when I'm talking to other people. I was talking to Ed Ricker. Oh, real quick.
The emergency
Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate this so much.
No, what up? He did $8.08. That's awesome.
So I was talking to Ed Ricker about it, and he was talking about the failsafe, which is, the e-brake where it just all of a sudden stops.
The emergency power stop, right?
Yep, the emergency stop. It just comes to a pause, and when it does that, when that kicks in, you have no control, right? Like you can't go up on the throttle while it's emergency. It's just making itself stop. It's like it stops. That's what it does, or at least as far as I've seen so far.
We might be talking about something different. Are you talking about the pause button on the back?
No, it's actually the drone does it when the goggle connection breaks.
Okay.
So it's similar to hitting the pause button and it just stops. It's just the same kind of thing. Basically the same exact thing, but it auto kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
So what I noticed was when I was looking at footage earlier, I had done 3 batteries flying like 1,000 feet away, not that far, but I was dipping down under the trees to follow a stream. And it wasn't enough to make the goggles go black. Like the digital goggles, if you get far enough away or have something blocking between you and them, it just goes black. You don't get a little breakup like you would with analog. It's just out. You're gone. It's a black screen. You can't see nothing. But when I got the breakup by the stream, the e-brake kicked on. It would just stop, and then I'd have control again. And it didn't click exactly why. I just figured, okay, it's the signal. It's making it stop. No big deal. And then I'm testing it out at the house. I was editing the video from the first day where I'm actually doing a comparison of the Mini 2 with FPV mode turned on.
Yeah.
To show how shitty that looks compared to a real FPV flight.
Yeah.
And I got sort of antsy to fly again, went out in the backyard, popped in a battery, took off, went over to a spot that I fly all the time with my Air 2 or whatever other drone. And I was like, man, this signal is really good. I could keep going. I can go further than I could with that thing. So I'm like, I'm just going to go over this cliff here and skim around this mountain. And as soon as I do, blacken the screen. And I'm like, oh, crap, because I could tell last I saw it was just angled like this, and it looked like it was starting to dive down, which was it kicking into e-brake mode, right? Yeah. So I had no control. If I had kept visual and had control, I would have easily just been able to right up and keep that skim. That's an easy maneuver.
So you lost controller signal before goggle signal.
I think I lost goggle signal first.
Okay, and that would make sense because usually, like even with any drone really, you're going to lose that image transmission first rather than the remote controller. So a tip I'd give you is to turn on focus mode. Have you turned that on?
What is it again?
It's in the transmission settings, and basically what it does is as you're flying, when you begin to lose signal in your goggles, it'll target, or it'll I guess prioritize the bit rate towards the center of the screen, and you'll see the outsides begin to get fuzzy, but the middle of the screen is perfectly clear. So you'll know that you're starting to lose signal, and you can come back.
I need that. I definitely need that. But I also wonder if, because going behind the mountain,
that's true,
it just instant shut off.
It could be, because it's almost like the equivalent of flying around the other side of a concrete building. It's not like you're gradually losing the signal. It's instant. As soon as you block the signal, it's totally gone.
Yeah, and so from what I can see and what I show in this other video, if you look at the goggle feed and it goes black and you see it kick in. So I think the e-brake had kicked in, and that bush happened to just be right in the way, and it hits. I don't know if you saw the crash footage, but it hits a bush, flips over, lands upside down in snow, and is just screaming like someone's beating it.
Unscathed.
What's that?
Unscathed, right? Not broken?
Oh, yeah. There was a couple minor scratches on the props. That's it.
I feel like it's one or the other. It's like, yeah, my drone is totally fine, or the leg is just chopped off.
Yeah, I've used some of the memes. There's a meme going around with 3 legs or 4 legs all hanging, and there's an AT-AT from Star Wars next to it. It looks so funny.
I know it's a shame, because I feel like there needs to be like a happy medium of being, like a tough drone, but also being a little bit less expensive for them to produce and to manufacture and to sell. And I feel like, if you're somebody that's careful and you just take a couple of tumbles, you're going to be okay. But if you're somebody that like slams into concrete, it's just done for. I was flying with Ken when he came up here, a couple months back, and we were with this other guy, Sully, who was flying with us.
Yeah,
and we were flying like in an abandoned little amusement park near where I live, and he slammed into one of the slides so hard with his drone. I mean, it was like such a loud clap that his drone hit, and with all that momentum moving forwards, he must have flown back like 20 yards. That's how hard he hit, and the only thing that was broken was the GoPro at that time. So, you look at what these FPV drones, like the ones that are built, can do in terms of their durability and how hard of a hit they can take. And it really is a lot better than that of the FPV drone. But my simple solution is just don't crash. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Well, I don't feel like this one's really meant to like go into small little areas and cut between small little spaces. I mean, you could, obviously, but anytime you do something like that, you're taking the chance of hitting.
Exactly. Thing. Especially when you're finding manual, there's nothing to stop you.
And it's funny because I actually turned the attitude limit back on with your suggestion the other day for where I live, thinking I could still, get enough lean to come down the mountains. And I forgot I had turned it on, and I'm flying. I'm like, why won't it dive? It is going so slow to get back down. I was trying to make it, and then it clicked later. I was like, and another thing you have to remember for those who haven't flown FPV, when you're in full manual, even with the attitude limit on, and you go to dive, and then you let the spring go back to center, it's still diving. It doesn't center back out. It will hold that dive until you counter it by pulling back on the spring on the right side.
So you haven't loosened that screw or loosened?
Oh yeah, I have. But the right one stays with the spring. The throttle.
Yes.
Loose. Yeah.
Yeah. I know that there's a couple people that I was flying with over the weekend who picked up the FPV drone, and they haven't loosened that throttle yet, or that whichever is their throttle. They haven't loosened the stick yet because they're used to flying GPS drones. If anybody's going to pick this drone up, I'd recommend loosening that throttle stick almost immediately.
I agree, 200%.
When I've even found that, like, if I fly the drone in sport mode occasionally, I still leave that stick, the spring out, so it'll just stay there. But you've got to be careful when you do that, because if you flip into sport mode and it's just a slight bit down, it's going to keep falling downwards. Because rather than hit the pause button whenever I find myself in trouble, I'll flip into sport mode, because then from there, I'm still flying and I can maneuver around whatever I'm coming up against. So if I flip into sport mode and if I take my goggles off and my throttle is just a little bit too low, I'm not going to know that my drone is coming down from the sky. So my thing is, like, if I am ever in trouble, I go sport mode and throttle up immediately just to get that up and away from whatever I'm flying towards.
So I noticed also you had mentioned, I messed with this, but you had mentioned something on one of your videos or on a live show, I can't remember which, about turning on the auto record, sort of like how Skydio has the auto record.
Yeah.
And I dabbled with that the first day, and I was like, oh my God, it's got auto record like Skydio. Turned it on, and I went and I started flying around, and every time I switched modes, it stopped the recording and started.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, have you noticed that?
I haven't noticed that. I have noticed that well, it does create new recordings like every like 4 minutes or whatever, kind of like GoPro does. Like, so if you record a 20-minute long video, it's going to chop it up into 4 different parts or however many. But something that I did notice is, you know, if you're flying with somebody, you plug into the Fly app, you give them your phone or tablet so that they can watch what you're doing, because obviously that's what you want to do. You want to show somebody the footage that you're shooting and give them that FPV experience. You can't record video while you give them the FPV or while you give them the Fly app. So if you're outputting a signal from the USB-C port and you hit record, it kills that connection.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, you know, so I've actually just taken the auto thing off, because I've found now with auto, when I hit record, I can record the whole flight no matter what I switch, and it records. It doesn't break it up. I've actually got pretty long files that are 8 to minutes or so long when I do it that way.
It for me, it's just become such a habit to like take off in sport mode, hit record, like take off, hit record, flip to manual, and go.
Yeah. So Lon says he's noticed the same thing and record that when you switch modes, it does.
It's really strange.
Yeah, it's stupid, because sometimes I'll be in normal and then switch to sports, and then maybe I'll switch to manual, but it's a constant flight, right? You wouldn't notice it.
Yeah.
Except that now the flight files are all chopped up, which sort of sucks.
It is a pain.
I want to say, hey, we got a lot of people in the chat. It is really hard for me to keep throwing everybody's thing up on the screen and pay attention to Billy. So if I'm not throwing your stuff up, I apologize. If I'm not seeing something you write, I apologize. I'm trying to do 2 things at once. But, you know, I really want to focus on Billy's channel, how he got to where he's at and all that. So I'm going to hopefully, if there's a question you guys have for Billy or me, tag us in it. Just repeat the question. Don't spam the chat, but, you know, ask it a couple times if we don't like get into it. I see Aldrin is in the room. I see Lon Denard is here with us. Ray Kelly. Ray is the one hosting the event in Florida. Before we start interviewing you, Billy, let's talk a little bit about that. So you're going out to this event in Florida, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to be driving down on Friday. I know that it's on Saturday, so I got to haul ass down there. But yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun. I'm looking forward to meeting up with some guys. I'm looking forward to filming something different, because I haven't really done much beach filming recently. So I'm excited to get down there and do some, you know, flying in Florida. I said this to somebody when I was flying. I think it was Stevie, Capture Life Connection. I was talking to him this weekend because he's going down there as well from New York. And it's always so cool to meet up with other people and fly drones with like a different group, because they do things so different. You know, like I don't know if you have like a group that you fly with, but I fly with these guys up in New York, and, you know, you get used to flying with each other, but then it's cool to see like what other people do and how they operate with each other. So it's going to be pretty fun.
I actually fly alone. I'm the complete opposite of Ready, Set, Drone song, Don't Fly Alone. I don't know anybody I fly with up here. I got one guy I've met recently that I snowboard with more than fly, but he's got a Skydio, so he's been bringing it up to follow.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm following. We're doing some backcountry stuff here and there.
So, hey, we're totally going off, but since you said Skydio and follow, do your mountains out there allow drones? Like, are they cool with it?
What do you mean? Like, the actual ski resorts?
Yeah.
No, you're not supposed to actually bring a ski resort drone to a ski resort.
Yeah.
You can fly off their property, but you're still not supposed to really fly over everybody.
Gotcha.
Crowds, you know, and there's just crowds. But I have skimmed in with like my Zooms and stuff and gone around ski resorts while they're open, flying from other locations to still get in and get some footage of the mountain. But I want to sneak like my Skydio into the resort. There's backcountry areas in the resort that I know that would have nobody there. It'd be totally safe. And, you know, I might eventually sneak it in there and see, but it probably won't be this year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that a way that you can maybe get around it is by speaking with them and saying, hey, I can supply you with the video or something like that. You know, you can try to make it worth their while and try to.
I tried at one resort. I did a video saying drones aren't allowed at ski resorts, and it was a smaller ski resort, like more of a mom and pop style one. I was like, okay, they'll let me. I'm going to tell them what I'm going to do with it. It's not crowded today. I'll tell them I'm going out here, and they still just wouldn't fly for it. So it's hard. They're so corporate that it's so hard to get a yes from someone unless they're up that ladder.
Yep.
Let me see speaking of skiing, dude, you ski.
Yes.
Right. So next time, Kelly and Ed have been coming out here for ski trips every winter now.
Yeah,
2 years in a row.
I've got to come. And I actually just got my skis. I have been renting this whole entire time, and that rental process is just terrible. So I finally
You own your own boots, right?
No, I haven't gotten boots yet because I ordered my skis online and I didn't want to get boots online. I wanted to try them on. So I've got the ski shop that I'm going to go to. I got to get my bindings attached, or not or whatever they are, the bindings attached to the skis, and then I've got to get the boots too. But yeah, I'm dying to ski out west because I haven't yet. I've only skied on the east.
Dude, I'm telling our snow is so different than East Coast snow.
I know.
Let me show you. This was yesterday, Billy. Did you see this clip earlier?
Wow, I can't believe you guys still had that much snow.
Yeah, we just got dumped on. I got like 8-9 inches yesterday.
That's unreal.
Yeah, so that's my buddy over there on the left.
Yeah, look at that, dude. All that powder. Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, so this is what Kelly, Ed and Kelly have both been lucky. Both times they've come, they've gotten great snow.
So have you skied on the East Coast at all?
I have not. I've done West Coast like California and then all this stuff in Colorado.
So I the last place that I skied was up in Maine at Sugarloaf, and that was pretty fun. That was my first time skiing there. Yeah, dude, that looks great.
Yeah, I like I purposely throw those snow clouds up. Like,
yeah,
you don't have to, but
no,
it just
that's
makes
awesome.
for such a cool shot whenever you like just skim your board real quick and it just throws this cloud of snow.
Totally, yeah. You know what? When you do that, it really brings out the stitching, like the areas that the 360 is stitching.
Yeah, when the GoPro gets actually covered by the cloud, you can see the two sides of the cameras.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You know, I remember when 360 cameras were brand new. Do you remember that camera Rilo? You remember that?
It sounds very familiar, but I remember before 360 cameras were a thing, and you had to have like 12 GoPros in this ball cage. And I was like, I can't ever do that.
Yeah, well, I remember Rilo was like the first 360 camera with that stabilization, and then Insta360 just totally, blew them out of the water.
And, Insta360's new edition, the X2, is actually great. I have the 1R, and I'm actually not a huge fan of it because I snowboard with it. Taking it apart, switching modes.
I remember you saying in your video.
Yeah, it absolutely sucks doing that. I've told them how much it sucks being a snowboarder. We're out like on the mountain and you got to take a glove off. You got to take it apart. Take it out of the cage. If you drop it off the chairlift, there goes your cube. It's gone.
Yep.
Where like the GoPro Max, you hit a button and it goes from hero mode, which is one lens, back to 360. And now the X2 does it. And it does it well. One problem though, if you're doing action stuff, when you're in a single lens mode, you then now have to turn the camera. So when you're holding the pole, it's turned. And the X2 has a regular tripod jack, so it's straight. So to make it turn, you have to get two GoPro adapters, piggyback them together so that it have a hinge.
Yeah, or like a ball head or something.
Yeah, something. You can't just use it out of the box. And that's something I told them, and they said they might make a running change and start including something like that in the box. Well, I haven't seen it yet, but
yeah,
that would solve the issue.
That would be really nice. What do you think about the new Go-To, the little magnetic one with the case?
I would like to get one, actually. I think it would be killer to throw that on like some of these small quads. Like even a Tiny Hawk could probably carry that. It's so light.
What about for snowboarding? You think it's useful or no? I'd be afraid that the magnet would fall off and then you'd just lose the camera. I mean,
you definitely couldn't just magnet it to your shirt. You would lose it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
That little thing, white, falling in the snow like that, it's gone.
Done.
Until it melts in the summer. And then someone else is going to find it.
Yeah, exactly.
I was talking to them the other day and they said they do have some kind of adapter that you can get to use it that holds it on more securely. But I would still rather hold the X2 if I was going to go Insta360 or the GoPro Max if I was going to go GoPro. That way you can move it around and get all these other angles and shots.
Yeah.
Because when you're filming in 360, you don't have to worry about like how good you are snowboarding. Okay, I got to be this good and hold the camera at the exact right spot. You just know, okay, I want that angle, so let me put it down by the nose of the snowboard, and now I'm just going to snowboard, and I'll fix the shot later.
Yeah, it's true.
So unlike when we used to use just regular GoPros, and if I wanted that angle, I had to actually really focus on having the camera point at the right spot and really focus on what you're doing so you don't break your arm.
Exactly. I mean, Super View was great because you could capture so much more in the frame, but 360 camera just takes it to a whole nother level.
Oh yeah, because you'll get max view on the GoPro Max, which is even wider than Super View, but then you switch it to 360 and it just, you can just go so far out.
Yeah.
Everything bows around you when you go too far out, but still pretty cool.
At least you're capturing the image, you know?
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's answer a couple questions there. A couple people asked you about the arms on the DJI FPV drone I saw in the chat. Have you used those yet?
Well, the braces?
Yes.
Nah, I haven't. They add like another like 45 grams, I think, or something like that. And I mean, with FPV, I mean, this drone is already pretty heavy. So you know, the way that I go about flying my drones is like I never fly and I never try to crash. Like the last thing I want to do is crash. And you know, I don't think I've ever had like a catastrophic crash where I've just totally wrecked and totally broken a drone. It's always been something stupid where I'm trying to land in a tight spot and the wind just kicks it towards a tree or something. So I've flown the FPV drone like I don't want to crash it. I've taken a couple of tumbles here and there, but you know, I'm still at the point where I'm trying to use this to its fullest potential. And I feel like I found a really good middleman of not crashing, but also taking the risk to get that footage. So flying under bridges, flying low along train tracks, just flying low along the ground in general. So I haven't bought them. Quite frankly, I don't think I am going to buy them, but it'd be interesting if someone, I mean, you'd have to have multiple drones to try this and spend a lot of money, but you know, you crash it twice and see if, you know, okay, the arm breaks on this one. Well, if I had the arm brace on, would it actually help? Like, I wonder if those braces would help because I've seen them, they kind of connect between like this. And I just wonder, like, you know, that's great, but any sort of force that hits up against the leg is still going to snap it. Like it could snap it inwards, you know?
It could snap both arms if you had those on because the force is the back arm.
It could hit. Yeah, exactly. Because it could hit the front arms and they're connected to the back. Yeah, you're totally right. So
now, I'm wondering how long it's going to be until we see someone that makes arms in the same hollow shape as those, but out of carbon fiber or something stronger than that plastic. Like, so you can still put the electronics through them instead of flat like we get with regular FPV drones, but like a form-shaped carbon fiber arm or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the arms seem to be the biggest problem, right? Because any crash you see, it's the arms that are like, you know, flopped down to the side. But like the actual body itself it stays, you know, relatively intact when I see these crashes. So to your point, I think that like a pro version with carbon fiber could be pretty cool. I know that they're probably going to charge more if it's made of a more expensive material that, of course, you know, is lighter weight. So the manufacturing costs will definitely go up. But in terms of like antennas, which I think are housed inside of the legs.
Supposedly they're in the actual little bottom pieces. See where the lights are on the bottom?
Oh, yes. Yeah. So you're right, because, you know, if this were to snap off, then maybe it'd be easier to replace than the actual leg itself. It wouldn't be as catastrophic. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I think, and I've said this in a couple of live streams that I've been on, and I'm kind of working on like a video about it, but I feel like this is just like the first generation. Of course, it's number one, FPV drone 1, but just imagine what we're going to have in 2 years from now. There could be 3 arms of the FPV drone for different types of flyers, just like we have with the Mavic right now. Mavic Zoom, Mavic 2 Pro, Mavic Air, Mavic Mini, even though they accent Mavic.
It's getting expensive to try to keep all these. You know, I need DJI to love me a little bit. Like I can't keep affording to buy new drones every single time they release one in 6 months.
You got to like go on a rotation of like buying the new one and selling the old one.
Well, I have a hard time selling them because I'm going to do a video comparing it to the old one.
Exactly. Yeah, those comparison videos always do really well in terms of numbers, but I feel like they're also the most helpful because, you know, now that we have this huge I guess collection and selection of drones out there, I feel like most of the people buying drones now are people that have already had drones and are just upgrading. So if somebody has like, you know, the Mavic 2 Pro, they're going to want to know, you know, well, is this new drone like the Mavic Air 2 an upgrade? Which in certain cases, yeah, it could be an upgrade, but it's also not an upgrade with Mavic 2 Pro. But yeah, these different comparison videos I think are great.
You know, and what I hate is that some of these drones like still have things better on them. Like the Mavic Zoom people argue with me all day long about this, but I still think it's better in some regards over the Air 2 because the Zoom is optical instead of digital.
It's all day long it's going to be better. And even though you've got that 40 megapixel sensor on the Mavic Air 2 to supposedly help, it's still like the quad Bayer sensor. It's you know, it's not as good as optical zoom at the end of the day. You know, I still think that I would choose Mavic Air 2 all day long over the Mavic 2 Zoom. But if you're somebody that puts Zoom up at the top of like your list, like priority wise, then it's a no-brainer to go with that one.
Yeah, and I agree. And if you're not wanting to upgrade to the smart controller, you have two scroll wheels. One will actually let you zoom while you're flying,
Mm-hmm.
where the Mavic Air 2, I have tried to get a smooth zoom while I'm flying by touching the screen, doing this weird finger
Yeah,
contraction,
no, you can't do that.
or you can't hit the F whatever button at the same time because then it stops flying.
Mm-hmm.
You can't zoom and get a cool shot where you're actually moving and zooming at the same time.
Exactly. And with buying a smart controller, you're spending more money on the Mavic Air 2 and smart controller than you are on the Mavic 2 Zoom. So
Yeah,
you
that's
got
something I think they're probably overdue to have is a smart controller version 2.
I agree, but if you look at their peripherals, like their accessories, they don't upgrade them as much. Like look at the original goggles, the white goggles. And I guess you could say that they've been replaced by their FPV goggles, but those white goggles have just sat there since 2016 or 2017, unupgraded, untouched.
Well, they made the black version, if you remember that.
Yes, but that was like their first entry to like FPV goggles. And I think that they just kind of tried to take their existing stock and rebrand it. But then they came out with the actual FPV goggles. But still, I mean, their peripherals, they don't really upgrade all that much. Look at the Sendence, the Crystal Sky monitors, the tablets.
I actually almost got one of those tablets, but I saw someone with the smart controller, and I got to say the screen on the smart controller is way brighter than my phone.
Yes. Eddie, I don't know. With OcuSync 3 in the FPV drone, it's very I feel like with the upgrades they've introduced, it's very niche to the FPV drone itself. So, when we look at future drones when they come out, who knows what the specs are going to be on them. I mean, I look at the FPV drone and I see that our range is the same, but we now have the option to go up to 120 frames per second. And also we get like a decrease in the actual transmission signal. So it's an 810p signal rather than a 1080p signal. So I don't know. I mean, that's a really good point in terms of what we've got with like OcuSync 3. I wonder though what the hardware is like inside of the smart controller and if it's going to be future proof. So if you think about these remote controllers and if you think about the FPV drone, I think the biggest upgrade that we saw with OcuSync 3 and what really pushed it overboard with the FPV drone is the addition of 4 antennas rather than 2. So I think that that's what's really able to push that signal out to what we're using, and that's why they're able to call it OcuSync 3. I don't know if there's this different hardware in the actual controller itself, so it's going to be interesting.
I got a question for you. So, with the Mini 2, they stopped putting 2 IMU boards inside of it. Like
and the Mavic Air 2.
The Air 2 didn't have. I did not realize that.
Yeah.
See, that was one of the things that got me so turned on. What's that, Billy?
Single IMU and single GPS.
So when the original Mavic Pro came out, and I think the Phantom 4 actually had 2 IMU boards. If you recall, I don't know if you played around with this stuff with the Phantom 1, 2, and all that really old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They all had 1 IMUs, and we'd had tons of flyaways between Blades, Phantoms, DJI products. Pretty much everybody that made a drone would have a flyaway. And there's videos everywhere, people having flyaways, and people user error, but it was the IMUs failing and drones going wherever they wanted to. So when they came out with 2 on the Phantom 4, I was like, I'm sold. I want one of those. And then the Mavic 2 rumors came out, and you had the GoPro. Well, it was supposed to be more compact, so you could travel with it, and that was what I wanted. And then the Mavic Pro release came out, and we got the little teaser, and I was like, that's it. I was sold. I went everywhere looking for one in real life. Found a model at the Apple store that had no guts in it, but it was the size. And this is when I first started getting more into YouTube, and I knew that was the way I needed to go. But I had 2 IMUs, so the thing was rock solid. I used to do videos of showing how solid it could hover compared to other drones. And it had sensors on the bottom, which helped. But I think a lot of that was due to just the IMU locking in. And one was there as a backup if the first one failed.
Yeah. And, the redundancy with a drone is huge. And the dual IMUs and dual compasses were great because you could have more faith and more trust in your drone. I mean, an IMU goes down, a compass goes down, if your drone's in the air, you're pretty much SOL, you're probably not going to get that drone back. So I think that the way that DJI looks at it, Because the Mini, it's understandable that they don't have dual IMU and dual GPS because they have a weight restriction, and that could be seen as like a a waste of space or a waste of weight. But if you look at like the Mavic Air 2, that would be a perfect example to put in dual IMU, dual compass. But I think that they feel like they've gotten to the point where they can put one IMU and be safe because their technology has improved so much since those original Phantoms. I also think that it's just DJI, which I mean, any company would do this, but it's their way of still looking at the Mavic 2 Pro as their professional drone, because a professional is going to care about redundancy, whereas, some guy that just wants to fly on the weekends isn't going to care.
But you got the problem is that the Mini 2 and the Air 2 are going to sell so many more units. So
Absolutely.
many more guys that don't take the time to really learn how to fly it safely or put it in the right spot are going to have just one IMU. And if something does go wrong, they're going to freak out. They're not going to stay calm. They're not going to hopefully do the right thing to save it. And if the IMU goes out, there's really nothing you can do. It's just come on.
Yeah, it is a shame. I can say that since these drones have been out, I haven't seen a huge issue with them. Like, I haven't seen people complaining about that. I know that up front was a complaint because it was like, what happens if these drones just fly away? But luckily, I mean, I fly the Mavic Air 2 all the time, and I don't notice that there's not a dual IMU. So again, I think it comes back to them improving their software and technology over, the years since those original Phantoms. But I have to agree with you that I wish they were there because it does give you a little bit more confidence when flying.
Hey, Fly Zone noticed your haircut.
Yeah. I never put like product in or anything like that. Like I hate the gel and all that stuff. And every time I go to get a haircut, they like put this gel in my hair and they try to sell it to me. I'm just like, no.
Yeah. Well, it's all about pushing what they want to sell.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know this, but my Mini 2 actually had IMU issues from the day I bought it out of the box. It was making me recalibrate the IMU constantly. And then it fell out of the sky when I was doing an
all right, so you have issues with it. That's why you're breaking it up.
Yeah. So it just dropped. I'm flying and it just dropped. And I happened to capture my reaction on video. I didn't have the camera pointing at the drone, but it landed in snow. So nothing got hurt whatsoever, just got buried in snow.
Yeah.
That's the nice thing about the snow up here. It's sort of like a little pad things can fall in. But it was, even though I could fly it and it seemed normal the next day, I sent it into them. They were like, "No, you need to send it in." I was like, "You're right," because what if I was flying and I happened to be somewhere and it fell and somebody got hurt because of it.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I sent it in and they said it had an ESC issue. They didn't get into more detail than that. And there was a problem with the IMU, and that's what caused it to fall out of the sky. So they sent me a new one. I haven't had to calibrate the IMU once on the new one.
That's good. Speaking of falling from the sky, a huge issue with the Mavic 2 Pro is those bulging batteries, the swollen batteries.
I remember that. Yeah. The Zoom had the same batteries, but mine never had. I still have 3 or 4 batteries and they're all fine.
It really could be where you live because it's a little bit colder, and of course, you have a longer, cooler period. Whereas the guys down in Florida, I think that they probably were the ones that really were affected by this in the worst way. But the guys that I fly with in New York, they always keep a zip tie. Eddie, he's in the chat. Eddie keeps a zip tie around his Mavic 2 Pro at all times so that the battery stays in place. And I think that out of the 8 or so batteries that I've owned, 6 of them are swollen on that drone. So when we're talking about the Mini here, one of the design features that I really like about it is the fact that it has the battery door. Like, you slide the battery in, you close the door, and that gives it no room to pop out and potentially fall out.
I've got to say, I didn't like the first Mini very much. I'm glad I didn't buy it because its actual rated top flight was around 8,000 feet above sea level, which is already 1,000 feet lower than where I live.
Interesting.
The new one, we were able to get it to fly here. When Ed came out here, we were able to get it to fly. It didn't fly well out here at all. Bless you.
Thank you.
It didn't fly well out here at all. And when it was windy, it just got grabbed and just taken away like nothing.
No way.
Yeah, I got a video clip. I don't think I have it geared up to play because I didn't know we were going to talk about this before. But it's pretty funny. You just hear everybody go down, land it, go down. And there's a big snowbank and it hits my car and just gets taken away. But the Mini 2 can handle winds like that. It's mind-blowing what the winds it can handle. I've done some videos where I didn't realize it was really that windy until I got to the top. And then I parked at like 12,000 feet and I flew it the whole max 1,600 feet up the ridge of the mountain to so I was about 13,600 feet above sea level. and it was so windy up there, and I was like, I'm not gonna get it back, and got it back, no problem. So
Yeah,
the little Mini 2 is a beast.
it has upgraded motors in it. If you look at them compared to Mini 1 to Mini 2, they're different. Like the
Yeah.
coils inside are different. So it does have that higher wind resistance rating. But that's definitely another upgrade from the Mini 1 to Mini 2. I mean, if you think about it, everything that everybody was asking about Mini 1, they put into Mini 2, which was great. And, you know, there was like a laundry list of things that we were like, yeah, you know, I really wish we could do this, this, and this in the Mini 2. And I just wonder what they're going to do for Mini 3. Because if history follows suit, this seems to be like a holiday release type of drone. Perfect gift.
Yeah.
$400, don't have to register it, buy it for your family. So I think that it's almost like a yearly release type of thing for them now. And I just wonder what they could put inside of a Mini 3 at this point.
Sensors, front sensors, maybe.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can imagine is obstacle avoidance sensors, and that's really it. I don't know what else they could do.
Yeah, I'm actually really happy with mine. I know people are going to be shocked when I say this. You know, I own all the Mavics except for the Mavic 2 Pro. I never bought that one because I actually felt the zoom let me do more unique filming.
Absolutely.
Than the Pro.
Yeah, no, the zoom's great.
And I didn't do as many pictures as I did filming for video. So if I was pictures only, I think I would have probably gone with the 2 instead of the zoom. But out of all the drones I have right now, I think the Mini 2 has become my favorite. And that's over the Skydio, that's over the Air 2, that's over everything. And not because of the way it flies or its functions, but because I don't have the Fly More kit. I have the controller, I have the drone, I put it in my pocket. I can put
pocket.
Yeah, I can put the controller in my other pocket, and I can go off on a hike with one battery, find something cool, get some shots, and then call it a day.
Dude, so I remember when I got it, I took it up to Lake George in New York. And typically when I bring a drone with me, that isn't like my Mavic 2 Pro. I'm always just like, you know, I wish that I had my Mavic 2 Pro. Like, let's say that I bring like just the like Evo with me. Like, I'm like, yeah, the Evo is great, but I just wish I had my Mavic 2 Pro. Or let's say I bring the Mavic Air 2 with me. I'm like, yeah, this drone is great. I use it a lot, but I still just wish I had the Mavic 2 Pro. But like, you know, the Mini, when I expect to do like a review on it and I bring it somewhere, I'm just so impressed at how good it is. When I put it up in the air, I'm like, I can totally live with this. I can live with the photos and videos that it shoots. It's unreal the quality you get from that small drone.
And this is a good point you bring up right here. We can lead into, are you a gamer? Do you play games?
Yeah.
Okay, so you remember, I guess it was the Xbox One. After that, or the Xbox 360 to the Xbox One, that's when I think the Wii came out, right?
Yeah.
And their strategy, instead of going bigger graphics, bigger push, because they were starting to cap off. All the games were starting to look the same. Everything was looking the same because tech only grows so much per every few years. So the Wii came out with the whole waggle thing in the controller, and it blew up. And then Nintendo did it again with the Switch. The Switch is selling like hotcakes. It's not the most high-end graphic machine, but it plays different.
Yeah.
I think we're at the point now that we need a drone company to realize, hey, we're trying to push this stuff again. The tech isn't growing fast enough. What can we do different? I think Skydio has leaned that way, except the controller connection sucks.
Yeah.
But I think we need somebody to change it up. Like if they keep just making upgrades to, now it has OcuSync 3. Oh, now the camera's a little better. Like, what do? You just keep buying the same damn thing. It's just barely different.
It's really true. And I think that that's maybe why the FPV drone is so hot, because it's so different with the manual flight. I mean, you know, FPV is nothing new, but, you know, for GPS flyers, this is their first entry, really easy entry into it. So I think that's why that's pretty interesting. But I think to kind of build off of that, you know, you're talking about game systems, which is a great point. The Wii and the Nintendo Switch, because they're so different, stand out. But look at in the smartphone space, look at the folding phones. Yeah. Think about that. Like, that's finally introducing something different into the space, and they're doing something different. That's rather than just changing the same rectangle shape, making it look a little different, putting a little better cameras and putting like more RAM in it or whatever, you know?
I'm actually surprised we don't have a clear piece of glass yet that just shows the phone when it's on and it's clear when you don't have it on.
Yeah, right.
That's the tech cool. I want to see.
Well, so to build off of your point, what was I going to say?
You're talking about the phones, different shapes, the Wii, video games, the drones.
Yeah, I think that. you brought up Skydio, and I like to look at drones like in the future, like what is a company going to do with their drones to really like stand out? Because if you look at DJI and you buy one of their drones, they're going to support that drone for a long time. But something that I've always found an issue with if you buy like an Autel drone is when is the support going to come, or maybe even with Parrot. But they're just so locked in on their drones. So I look at Skydio, and they have a great future ahead of them. So I'd feel really comfortable investing in their platform because it's going to continue to get great updates. I mean, the Skydio 2 has grown really well. They've introduced huge updates to their accessories and the drone itself. So, I see that they came out with the Skydio 1, a ridiculous price tag, $2,700. It was really just like a proof of concept. From there, they're able to raise money. They were able to bring investors on. They come out with the Skydio 2, and they're starting to make money. I think the Skydio 2 is a great drone, but I think the Skydio 3 is going to be the drone to buy. Like, when now that they have this drone in the hands of so many more people than that Skydio 1, the R1, this drone is really helping them shape what the Skydio 3 is going to be. And I think that they've taken, or they are going to take, a lot of what we're saying about the drone with the remote controller, with the transmission signal, with some of its autonomous flight features. They're going to take that and make just a badass drone.
I almost did today. I was a little too tired and wasn't feeling it, so I didn't do it. But we had that snowstorm, so our streets in our neighborhood even though they plow them, they're packed powder now.
Yeah.
I was going to take a ski rope or make my old rope and take the Skydio and have Gina pull me in the car around the neighborhood with the Skydio.
That would have been awesome.
But the problem is that you can't bring that on the resorts. So when you do it backcountry, it's a long day just to get one or two runs.
Yep.
But to actually be pulled around on a snowboard and be able to point it at different spots, go from fixed to tracking, you could really get a lot covered, I think, so much faster that way. And it'd be sort of silly.
It's such a shame because the only skiing that I do is at resorts. Like it's the easiest, and that's really all that's available near me. But out near you, you've got mountains for days. So all that backcountry skiing is great.
You got to be careful though. People die all the time doing it.
Yeah, I'm sure. But it sucks because really the only use that I found that I've had for it was just going on my boosted board, like my electric skateboard. And that was fun and that was great. But, it kind of made me think to myself that, the Skydio 2 is awesome for what it is. And it's built for specific people. But I'm a guy that flies my drones. And if you're somebody that 99% of the time you're flying your drones, the Skydio is not the option for you.
I agree. Mine doesn't get touched that much just because the controller, I love flying it with the controller, but 500 feet away. And I live somewhere where there's not a lot of interference, and I still have a hard time getting very far.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, the whole entire controller experience, I feel like was really just kind of rushed at the end. They did that partnership with Parrot. They kind of took their remote design, they licensed that tech from them, and they used it. And there's nothing horribly wrong with Parrot's remote design, but I feel like if Skydio just put more time into research and development, they could have built a better remote controller for their drone specifically,
Oh, I agree, because the Skydio build alone is so high quality. The drone itself, the material, the edges, the finish on it is so high quality. If they're all 3D like
printed, I think. It's all 3D printed, I think, which is really great. It's a cool use of the technology. I'm used to the really crappy brittle 3D printers, but this is like high grade stuff.
I would have never thought this is 3D because if this would be the highest grade.
I think they 3D printed parts and then put it together. Does that make sense? So it's not just like one 3D printed housing. Yeah. It's multiple put together.
It's aluminum, isn't it? Is the drone itself aluminum or titanium, or what is it made? It's made of some kind of metal, isn't it?
I think it's plastic.
It feels like metal.
It really does because it's strong. And actually, when I first got the drone delivered, it was cold outside. The package was like on the truck. So I brought it up and I unboxed it immediately and I touched it and I go, this thing is made of metal because it was cold and it was hard. So the thing is metal, but I think it's a plastic.
I've got to ask. Magnesium, Lon says. That sounds actually familiar. I could have sworn they had it out of some kind of metal. And if Lon's right, that would make sense.
Yeah.
It's light and strong.
It is pretty strong. The crashes, I haven't seen like a Skydio totally mangled, Yeah.
Yeah. Billy, you see in the right over here, you can see this area that says private chat.
Yeah.
See that? Click in there and put a number in between 1 and 50.
1 and 50. Okay. Ready?
Yeah, I'm going to look at it and see what it is here. And you guys who've been on my live streams before, you know what this means. It's time to give away a sticker. I'm going to write the number down on the back of the sticker. Billy has chosen this number. So whoever wins the sticker, You can thank Billy for that. So, look at the numbers already coming. Oh, damn, that was quick. Somebody already got it. Okay, stop. Let me put it back in.
Wow, the second one.
Yeah, that was quick, huh?
Look at
the second guess. Let me put it back so they can see who won. That was really quick, man. Where'd it go? God, I lost it.
They were already guessing numbers before we even started.
Yeah. This is a thing I do on all my live shows. I give away stuff by people guessing numbers, and sometimes I mix it up.
Yeah, you got to do a different set of numbers every time, so it's not 1 to 50 every time.
Yeah, so you just won the gray. Look, I didn't even tell them what they were winning. They started guessing. But so email me. I'm going to put it in the chat real quick. We have one more sticker for after the interview, and we're going to start the interview now because we've talked.
Yeah, we talked here for the whole time.
Yeah, and I apologize, but there's so much we could talk about. We haven't even barely touched on the FPV because I feel like you and I probably will use the FPV drone in a very similar way. We're more about trying to get that cinematic, like just flowy shot with it instead of just flipping around. Because I've got other ones I can flip around with.
Yeah, I watch people's flights when they're flipping around, and I go, "Damn, that's impressive," but that's just not for me. Like I watch it and I see, it almost just makes me nauseous. But I think we had a conversation about this on our phone call. And if that's your style, that's great. I'm not trying to put anybody down because there's so many different styles when it comes to FPV, but that's just not mine. I'd prefer to use it like a fast Mavic that I can move a lot more, in a much more agile way.
And I totally agree. Like there's people who flip and do some stuff and it looks cool because they're not doing it so quick and erratic.
Yeah.
And that's cool. But like our buddy Ken, for example, Dobo, dude, he's killing it with it, right? Absolutely killing it. But he flips and flops so much, like in areas that I'm like, okay, why did he flip there? It didn't add to the shot, right? Thinking in the way that I would fly it.
Yeah.
So nothing. I mean, it's impressive. It's incredibly impressive how good he's gotten and how fast it's become. It didn't take him that long.
And he's done some really good flights in that style with the FPV drone too, which is great.
I agree. And if you look back at Spin Up 2, when we had the second Spin Up and we could all meet up, I don't remember if you made it out to the second one.
I didn't go to 2. I went to 1.
Okay, so Ken and I went to the after event, and Doc let us try to fly his FPV drone line of sight. And Ken was worse than I was at it, man. He couldn't even cover it. It was horrible. It was so funny. And he's just practiced, and he's killed it, man. He's
broke a lot of stuff, probably.
I'm sure he has, right? Someone asked who won, and it was, in case you guys didn't see it on the screen, it was Tex Arc Drone Guy. He guessed number 33. The sticker number was 33. So hopefully I did put my email in there. So Tex Drone Guy there, email me at seanozz@yahoo.com with your mailing address. I will stick that sticker in an envelope and get it out this week. All right. That being said, hopefully you guys like the thumbnail that I put together with Billy. I found this cool picture, did a little edit, put the background of the studio in and the FPV drone. It looks like he's flying that. Obviously, he is not. He has a completely different controller and setup. But I thought it was pretty fitting. And it was funny because I went over to his Facebook to do that. And within just seconds, hold on, let me pull this up. I had gone like just a few pictures back, right? Like you go on my pictures on my Facebook and you go back 50 or whatever pictures and I look the same. I went back just a few pictures and Billy looked like this within, let's see if this is the right one. Hopefully this is right. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, look at that.
Few pictures, we got little Billy Kyle as a kid.
Look at the number.
Yeah, there you go. That's hilarious.
That was my old hockey number. That's why I did 33.
Oh, that's so funny that it popped up on the thing. But yeah, I didn't know he played hockey. I think he played lacrosse. I saw some pictures of him doing all that. And anybody who plays hockey is all right by me because that is a hell of a sport, man.
Oh, it's so much fun. It's great to play and it's great to watch too. And do you do any pond hockey out there or, skate around on the...
I used to do roller hockey years ago back in California.
Okay. Yeah, I rollerblading is such a different dynamic to me that, it's kind of like I go and I'm like, all right, how do I stop? because you can stop on
Yeah,
a dime.
you can't do a hockey stop on rollerblades very easily.
No,
That
you'll
rubber's just
end up
around the
tumbling.
wheel, the concrete. So, how old were you in this picture?
Gosh, 14.
Had you done YouTube yet?
No. Mm-mm.
Had you even?
Well, I mean,
watched it?
I started uploading videos to YouTube, in middle school, but way before that photo was taken. I used to upload gaming videos. Like I wanted, like Modern Warfare 2 back in like 2010 or whatever. Like I was uploading videos then. Yeah, there it is. Same thing, 33.
That's awesome.
I was uploading like stupid video, and nobody was watching them. I was uploading like stupid videos, and if you look back at like I might have deleted them, but I had like 5 gaming videos on my channel, and that was like what I was doing on the current channel that I have. And then I bought a drone, and I made a video on it, and it got 300 views, and I was like, oh, this is great. I'm just gonna keep doing this. Like this is actually getting views. So,
how old were you when you did the first drone video?
2016. So I was, let's see, I'm 23 right now. So I was like 18 around the time when I started.
You're the same age as my son. My son Zane is 23. I've tried to get him to YouTube forever, and he just no interest.
Well, so I know you were talking about how I got started on my YouTube channel. So if you want to transition in the interview, I always saw YouTube as like a really cool thing to do to kind of like, not, I wouldn't say like express myself, but just to like add more to like what I was doing. So, I was playing video games, but I wanted to take a step further and share the video games that I was playing with friends, with other people online. It was cool to like record the games that I was playing and then save the games if I did like really well. So then, I kind of translate that into flying drones. And, I don't think I could just buy a drone and just shoot photos to store on my hard drive and just make them my background picture. I wanted to share not only the photos and videos that I took, but I also wanted to share like my knowledge of the drone. So that's kind of why I got started with YouTube, because I wanted to build off of more other than just flying the drone and to kind of have that sense of community, right? If you look at like, I would always look it up in the beginning, like what are the first 5 things you should do when you buy a drone? And one of them was to join a community. And that's really true for anything that you do. And I think that moving forward, I can't just go and like, for example, I can't go and, play a video game even to this day without recording it. I don't post it anywhere, but I record it just to save it and just to do something with it. So I'm always looking to take it to the next level. And that's kind of why I started YouTube.
That's awesome. So, how old were you when you did that first drone video?
18. So it was like 5 years ago.
What drone was it? Do you remember?
The Phantom 4.
Okay. So you missed out on the early drone stuff.
Yes. Well, so I knew about the Phantom 3 when it came out, and I think that's because that was the first like platform that was really like all in one. Yes. Like it was very centralized with the gimbal and all the great technology inside. And my lacrosse coach bought one just to like film the games and stuff like that. So like he had it out at practice filming us sometimes, and I was like, man, that's pretty cool. I saved up a ton of money. A ton of money. I saved up like $1,100, right? I worked all summer. I saved up my money and I wanted to build a computer and I fell short. Like I didn't have the money to buy the components that I wanted to buy to do my build. And I looked on Best Buy and I saw the Phantom 4 was on sale. And I was like, I'm just going to waste all my money on this. I'm just going to go buy it, And at that point in time, like I'm going from high school to college. I've still got to kind of like ask my parents for permission, So I'm like, hey, Mom, can I buy this drone? She's like, no. No, you can't.
What changed your mind?
No, you can't buy this $1,100 drone. And then I talked to my dad because my parents are divorced. So I tried to play them against each other. Dad, can I buy this? And my dad gives me the same thing. He's like, why would you want to do that? So eventually, after months of pestering them, they're like, all right, fine, just do it, just buy it. So I bought it. Thankfully, it's changed my life. So that's great. But, I don't think that they fully understood what these drones were capable of because I brought it over to my dad's. I set it up and I started flying. And he was like, whoa, like this thing is great. So, I blew all my money after high school. And that's how I got started with the Phantom 4. And then from there, I remember it was 2016. It was the year that the Mavic was launched, the Mavic Pro. It was released later in like October or November, towards the end of the year. And I bought mine in the spring. And I remember I was like, yeah, I'm going to buy the Phantom 4. No other drone is going to come out. And then they dropped the Mavic.
So were you bummed? Were you like, oh, crap?
Well, I was bummed. But at that point in time, I had like 1,000 or 1,500 subscribers. And, from there, I had pocketed a little bit of money from AdSense and, college student, I'm not really buying anything other than food sometimes.
Yeah.
So, you know, I thought to myself, I was like, all right, well, look, I want to take this YouTube thing seriously. Let me go and buy the Mavic Pro. And I'm happy that I did, because that drone, you know, totally blew the drone scene up.
Yes, it did.
You know, and for me being a kid in college, I was like, oh, let me do YouTube as my full-time job. And now that I'm out of college, I kind of do it as my full-time job. It's one of the many things that I've got going on right now, but I don't have like a, you know, full-time job. So I'm happy that I stuck with it.
Yeah, no, definitely. For people who are getting into it, I mean, the big thing with YouTube is the long haul. You can't expect immediate gratification, at least monetary, like money wise.
Mhm.
It just doesn't happen, especially now, because it's so saturated. You can still grow. There's people that grow constantly, and the easiest way to grow subscribers, in my opinion, is that narrow niche. Is if you're talking about one topic and even just one product, you can grow with subscribers way faster than you can just with views. I'm the living proof, Billy, on if you don't have a niche, it takes a lot longer to get subscribers.
It's
Now,
true.
I have the same views that these guys with 60,000 subscribers have. Like my view count is through the roof.
Yeah.
People don't click on and go, okay, this is a snowboarding video. Wait, all his other videos are drones. Or these drone guys click on and go, wait, why does this guy get a snowboarding video?
Yeah.
Don't subscribe.
It is difficult. And, you know, at first that's why, like, I remember talking with my friends and I was like, you know, it's better to have one channel. If you're going to post gaming videos and stuff like that, just post it all up to one channel. It's no problem. But you start to think of your channel as like a brand in a sense. It's like, imagine if ESPN started uploading like, you know, kids shows. It wouldn't fit and it wouldn't make sense. I think that I was relatively lucky because I started at a younger age posting stuff to YouTube. So I had that buffer while I was in college to not really care if I was making any money, because, you know, I was younger and, you know, a couple $100 was really all that I needed. So I was lucky that I started sooner, but somebody who's got a full-time job, it's definitely a little bit tougher to, you know, start a YouTube channel.
And it's hard when you have a full-time job or a business of your own that's your full-time thing to actually make separate channels. I even tried minimizing and making a nature channel where it's just long videos of streams because I live somewhere pretty. I just go out, put a camera up, film it. And it's so hard to constantly split yourself into two channels.
Yes.
That, at least with me, I've gotten to the point where mine is mountain content, whether it's snowboarding. It's a larger niche, so it's growing finally, but it is finally a ball of something.
Yeah.
But you even said it earlier about niching down and growing, and that is the fastest way. If anyone in the video right now watching, in the replay, whatever, is looking to grow faster with their subscriber count, that is the way to do it. Narrow down your content so it's talking about one product, one group of products that are all sort of similar.
Yeah, just, you know, give the people that are subscribed to your channel an understanding of what they can expect. And you know, that's why, you know, I made some videos on smartphones and stuff like that, and I've kind of stopped doing that. And I don't say that as a bad thing. Like, it's not like I'm bummed out I can't make videos on smartphones anymore, but I think that what I'm trying to say is I'm happy that I'm in a niche that I really enjoy and I really like, and I'm happy I can say that after 5 years of posting videos about it.
Yeah, and Ray Kelly says he varies his content. And Ray, don't let what we're saying keep you from doing that, because I vary content. If you're not depending on YouTube to become your career, you vary your content. Have fun with it. Do whatever you want to do. It's your channel. You don't have to follow these rules. These are just ways to grow your subscriber count, not necessarily your view count. You don't make any money on YouTube on your subscriber count. I make more money than people that have 60,000 subscribers on my channel. We've compared notes and been like, damn, how am I making as much as you? Because you would think, in theory, a 20,000 subscriber channel would not make the same. But it's about view count more than it is subscribers. It's about watch time more than it is view count. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys in the chat. So
here's a really interesting point. I'll bring up the most recent metric here. Let's see. So if I go to my audience and if I look at, so check this out. I'm going to go just lifetime here. My watch time from subscribers, the amount of video views, or I guess video watch time that I've gotten from subscribed channels is 11.6%, and non-subscribed is 88.4%. So even though my channel has close to 100,000 subscribers, 88.4% of the watch time of my channel has come from people that aren't subscribed to me.
Oh, so, yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're looking under reach or engagement.
audience. And it's all the way at the bottom on the studio app. And the reason that that's so important is it's a really healthy metric to understand if YouTube is promoting your stuff, if YouTube is promoting your videos, because my stuff is being promoted to a lot of people that aren't subscribed to me, which is great because that means that I know that it's introducing fresh faces to myself.
And what was your number again? What was your subscribed number compared to non-subscribed?
It was like 88% for non-subscribed and 12% for subscribed.
And that's lifetime or this last 28 days?
Lifetime.
Let me see. Let me change mine to lifetime. I'm curious now. So mine's my subscribed views 4.9%. My non-subscribed views 95.1.
Yeah, look at that. So this is how I look at it, is like having a good subscriber base is great. I think for one, like I look at it two ways. For one, it's great to get those initial views, gets the video growing in the algorithm, and then YouTube knows to promote it to other people. So those initial people subscribe to your channel, your core audience, like the people in this stream right now that are going to watch your videos because they're here on the stream and they really have a great connection with you. They're the ones that are going to start that video processing and going through YouTube's algorithm to then be promoted to other people that aren't subscribed to you. So another way that I look at it is subscriber count doesn't matter, because you could post a video that gets hundreds of thousands of views, but your subscriber count doesn't matter at all. And another great thing is, if you have a larger subscriber count, people that stumble across your videos will be more inclined to subscribe because you have that larger audience and they think that you're going to do it full time. So like if you saw somebody upload a video that has 300 subs, you might be less inclined to subscribe because you're like, is this guy going to continue to do this? But if you find someone with 4 million subscribers, you're going to say, yeah, this guy is in it for the long haul. He's been uploading forever. I'm going to subscribe to him and I'm going to get quality content moving forward.
Unless you're Casey Neistat, then he stops.
Yeah, I do. I don't understand that. I mean, he was going so hard and just like that stopped.
Yeah, he was doing daily content. I know one other guy that does daily content, and he's making a killing on YouTube. And he's got half the subscribers as you, but he's making I don't want to say who it is, but he's making, let's say, 10 grand a month at least.
Yeah, that's unreal.
Views, and it's daily content because every day there's new stuff coming on, and he's also narrowed down his niche, so he's doing information, niche content, and daily, and then he sells product through his videos. His videos are basically ads for his own products, and it's genius how it works. And the guy's killing it. I'm stoked for him.
I think that there's room on the internet for absolutely everybody to have some sort of presence. Anybody that I talk to, something I've been really getting into recently is cryptocurrency. I don't know if you're into like Bitcoin and stuff like that.
A little bit. I've got a little invested, not a ton.
Yeah, but I'm trying to I've got my toe dipped into it, but I'm trying to do a deep dive, and I've got some buddies that are into it. So I'm helping my friends start their own YouTube channel with, this talking about cryptocurrency. Yeah. And I think that everybody is an expert in something. And if you can take what you're an expert in and then translate that into something on the internet, whether it's a TikTok page, an Instagram page, a YouTube page, I mean, there's ways to monetize what you know on the internet to then make some extra cash. With the internet, it's like, if you have the tools, it's hard to not do that.
And it's funny you say that, because I've wanted to do a new channel that's all just tattooing, or turn this channel into just a tattoo show, because that's what I do for a living.
Yeah.
Everything in and out about it. But to actually do that would be so complicated, because you'd need a whole crew, and you'd have to get stories, and you'd have to film everybody, and then you'd have to film yourself. I'd have to edit it myself, and then it would take away time. Like a tattoo that should take an hour would now take 5 hours, and it would just be such a pain without a camera crew following you around. Yeah,
that is tough. I think it would be interesting. I don't know of any channels that are doing that, so you could start your your own niche. But yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I've got a whole thing mapped out for maybe one day. So, but you've covered a few of my first questions already without me. That's good. Which is great, because we talked about when you created your channel, how you were a kid, and it's actually the same channel that you still have. You didn't make it one. You just, which is really cool to see you switch over, and then it still becomes successful. Because a lot of times I've wondered if that works. If you stay on the same channel and it's an older channel and you switch the content, will it grow, or does YouTube penalize you for a while for switching?
You're right, because I started mine in 2013, I believe, and I didn't upload anything until 2016. So,
Yeah,
there's that for you.
that's good to know. I started mine in 2008, and I wish that I would have stuck with it because at the time you couldn't even monetize it. In
Yeah,
2008, there was no money to be made on YouTube. It was for fun.
exactly.
And I was doing special effects zombie makeup. So can you imagine if I had stayed with that and been one of the first people doing that? I
Yeah,
wouldn't be doing all the drone stuff. So I wouldn't have met all you amazing people in
yeah.
the chat.
You'd be meeting other people.
Right. And that, that's, you said that earlier. Although I do dabble in all these different types of content, the community that I feel the most part of is the drone community. Like
Mhm.
these guys, everybody's so helpful. Everybody wants to be friendly with each other. You get the bad apple here and there,
Except the
but
drone police.
yeah, and you get the drone police. Those are also the mask shamers, right? Same kind of person, right? But it's such a cool community. I had to go there. Uh, um, so let's. This is a good question I can lead off to. So I'm gonna assume when you first started, it was all for fun. You really didn't have any goals. But when you first got that drone and you saw your channel go, and you got that light bulb, and it went, wait a minute. Did you instantly at that point plan out like where you wanted to go with it, or did you just sort of flow with it?
I kind of flowed with it, and I knew that there was going to be like growing pains in a sense. I mean, my first videos were filmed in my bedroom, like I had like my bed behind me and everything, and I could not imagine doing this now. But I think it's really interesting to just like see where somebody came from and then how they grow from there and where they become. Because like I'm sure people stumble across my videos and go, let's look at his first video, right? And it's like interesting that it's just something totally different. And I think that that's cool to watch somebody's progression.
Yeah, I've left all my old videos on. If you go back to my first videos, it's actually just me airbrushing, like in a time lapse.
Yeah, and for you, you might think it's like, oh, that's weird and stupid, but somebody that stumbles across that is going to be like, wow, this is really interesting to see who they were when they started and how far they've come. So I think the biggest thing that kind of set off a light bulb for me at first was like, okay, people are watching my stuff. Like I have this sense of like accomplishment because not only is it like me watching back my drone videos on my laptop, but it's other people enjoying what I'm posting. So at first it was about the notoriety because I was happy that I had like this sense of community and other people that are watching my stuff. It kind of sounds like I'm like full of myself or something like that. But at the end of the day, the thing that I was most happy about is that I wasn't just myself sharing my videos with myself. I had this full sense of community where everybody else could watch my videos. And that was really what took off from there. And, when I was younger, I had the thought of, yeah, I can turn this into a full-time job, but that was really never what fully motivated me. It was just continuing to see the community grow.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge thing. You say that with the community is a key word here to everyone watching. Building your community with YouTube is more important than building subscribers. It really is. So after you clicked and you started doing the drone content, you would go to a park or you would go somewhere to film the drone because you got to be outside and there be people around. You weren't really vlogging, I assume. So was it embarrassing for you to go out and film in front of people that you didn't know to film the YouTube video? Was it natural? Because for me, I would vlog and I would like go to the grocery store and set my camera between two cereal boxes and then walk by everybody and then stop at the cereal box and start talking. And people look like I'm crazy.
So I'm still embarrassed by it, and I haven't been able to get over it. So for me, I'm always trying to find a quiet location to fly and film. I mean, even if I'm like in Philly and I'm like, on the outskirts shooting photos of the art museum, I'm like still timid to take my drone off in front of people because I feel like everybody's watching me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, I've made like 580 videos. How can I be, scared of talking to the camera? But for me, like I mess up so much talking to the camera, and I like, we've talked. I follow a script when I do my videos. Yeah. So for me, I like to be in like a quiet, unpopulated, secluded area so that I can just work and just do it on my own pace and not have to worry about anybody in the background or coming up to me. But I think that that's what really separates people's style. Like because of that, our styles are different,
Yeah. Well, so then when you do these meetups with other YouTube guys, how do you blend? Because I always find it's very interesting to watch when we go film stuff together and it's this similar topic, maybe we both go film at the exact same time about the DJI FPV drone and our experience with it as sort of a vlog style. And then we see how the other person edits it, and it's totally different. Like even though we're filming the same content, the edit changes everything.
You're totally right. And the only time I'm filming in front of other people is if I'm with like a smaller group. So like if Ken comes, for example, I'll film.
Yeah.
Or, this weekend in Florida, if we break away, then I'll do some filming, right? But like when you're in like a bigger group, I'll usually keep the camera down, and I try to interact with as many people as possible, because that's what these meetups are so great for, is getting together with everybody and talking drones.
Well, I bet you that those guys at the meetup, if you somehow did something where you were like walking up to them and said hi to them and stuff and filmed it, they'd probably love being in your video.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. My thing, like, that's why like my style has gone towards, like informational videos, that the vlogs are always put on the back burner for me. And I love to do those, but it's something that's been put on the back burner for me, because I'm like, with the FPV drone, I'm so hell bent on trying to get videos out about this thing right now that explain how to use it, because people are going to buy it and not know how to use it. So that's been like my number one priority. Yeah,
no, I feel it. So now, when you first made that transition and you were like, okay, I'm going with this, you were 16, no, you were 18 when you had that drone. So between 18 and 20, and you were starting to build it, and your friends are like asking you, what the hell are you doing? Was it you were embarrassed to film in front of people, but were you embarrassed to tell your friends, I'm trying to be a YouTuber?
So I was relatively embarrassed. I felt like I had to cross a certain threshold before I could tell certain people. Like my mom, I could tell. My girlfriend, I could tell. My roommate, I could tell. My cousin, I could tell. And they were really big, like, pieces of growing, because they're the ones that gave me support. But then like my not so close friends, I never really told them. I kind of kept my like Instagram and Twitter very to myself. It was still like posting photos of myself when I was out with friends and stuff like that. But something eventually clicked, and I thought, you know what? I don't really care if my friends see what I do, because I know that I'm going to be able to turn this something into, I was proud of it at first, but I'm going to be able to turn this into something I'm really proud of, and something that, they're almost going to look at me and say, wow, good job for. So at that point in time, I just kind of let the floodgates open. I transitioned my Instagram and Twitter into like my official Instagram for my YouTube page, and I started posting drone photos. And from there, being in like a younger kid in high school and college, you're obviously a little bit more worried about what people think of you, because like everybody talks and whatever. Yeah. But I never really cared about that. In college, I never went out and partied. I never went out and did any of that stuff. But instead, like I would go home every weekend and I would film videos, and I would film videos all day Saturday and all day Sunday, so I could post them throughout the week when I went back to school, because I was going to school in the city, which was about 45 minutes away. So, I'd go and I'd film these videos when all of my other friends were out and whatever. But I almost feel like it's paid off, because there's kids with this pandemic that don't have a job coming out of school. They don't have anything to do, So I feel like it's paid off. And I've been really happy with what people have said to me that, I went to school with, and they say, hey, good job and whatnot. So it's embarrassing to a certain extent, like filming in front of people, but like posting pictures about it is easy.
Yeah. Well, virtual high five right there. Boom. Wrong side. Boom. Good job. I'm proud of you, man, if that means anything. I'm proud of anybody who's doing the grind and succeeding with YouTube.
Absolutely.
In any way, shape, or form, because it is a hard thing to pull off. And most people will get burnt out. There's some kind of crazy number that I think it's like 90% of people, or 80-something% of people, won't even ever hit 1,000 subscribers because they just stop.
Yep.
Oh, let's see. Oh, here's a good one. If you had to start completely over from scratch tomorrow, a whole new YouTube channel, but it couldn't be drones and the stuff you do now, it's a new topic, what would it be if you had to start from scratch, a whole new topic?
Well, I am going to start a second channel. I actually just recently bought a new car. It's a Tesla. And I'm going to do tutorial videos on electric vehicles.
Oh.
So my thought process behind doing this makes this question a lot easier. My thought process behind doing this is because I see the same need in the electric vehicle space as I saw with the drone space. When I first bought my drone, I was like, I got no idea how to use this thing. Yeah. And I go online to try to find tutorial videos, and I can't find them. Like they weren't around. So I thought, let me make my own. And, recently I've been looking to get a new car, and I wanted to get an electric vehicle, and I'm looking up like videos about, EVs, topics about range, supercharging, you know, what the car looks like, what the car features, and whatever. And a lot of the videos just they're not good. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at that, and I'm gonna try to enter that space of the new channel. So that's gonna be in the works in the next, you know, in the next coming weeks.
So are you already? Do you have a name for it? Are you already to that point, or are you still? Is it still very early?
It's still really early. I've got video ideas in mind, but the channel name is tough for me because, you know, the thing about your channel name is Sean Oz, right? It's your name. And the thing about me is my channel name is Billy Kyle. It's my name. And we have the freedom to do what we want, right? But, and I'm not talking down to him at all, but look at Russ, 51 Drones. He's got drones in his name. So if he posts something that isn't drones, it's weird. Same thing with Drone Valley, Rick Smith, right? So I want to create something that doesn't lock me in, but I want to also create something that's like original. Like I can't use my name. I can't just make another Billy Kyle channel, you know?
Yeah, I totally feel it. I've actually been on the fence forever. I've got another channel that's actually, I call this one World of Oz, but it's not labeled World of Oz. I have another one that's labeled World of Oz. I've been considering changing this one to say World of Oz at the bottom and getting rid of my name. So I think that would possibly encompass more people to subscribe, because they'd be like, oh, this is this world of stuff.
It could, but I'm never one to be like, oh, the YouTube algorithm and you whatever. Like I just post what I want. I title it what I think is appropriate. I never tried to do something to game the algorithm. But I know that if you change your channel name, it could potentially hurt your viewership moving forward. And a prime example of this, even though there's a lot of factors that go into it, but Jesse Wellens, Prank versus Prank, he's got a channel with like 11 million subscribers and only gets like a couple 100,000 views, which, I mean, that's a big difference. And the big reason and the big change came from when he changed his channel name from Prank versus Prank to just his name, Jesse Wellens.
Yeah, and like Mule Crusher says, he actually told someone my channel name was World of Oz because I promoted as that everywhere, right? Even in the World Wide Web bar. What is the damn bar called at the top where you type in the address? The what?
The address bar?
Yeah, I can't. My brain just went somewhere. I couldn't even think of it. Yeah.
So
you type in YouTube/Sean Oz, that goes here, or you type in YouTube/World of Oz, it also goes here. So
yeah, the way that I see it is like your channel, like actual name, it isn't like hugely important because you could just make it Sean Oz and that's you. But, on your banner, you could have World of Oz, and like, on your logo, you could have World of Oz and stuff like that. So, I think that the naming scheme that you have is great because it's nice and clean. I mean, most people just use their full name now. I remember in the beginning, the way that people made YouTube channels was like an alias, like they made like a totally different name. And some of them have kept it, but others have just changed their name, like that guy, Jesse Wellens. So if you wanted my opinion, I would keep it the way it is. Still introduce yourself as the World of Oz, maybe incorporate it into your banner and stuff like that. But I think the channel name is fine.
Well, it's interesting that the reason I started leaning more now, just after talking to you, was just because of you talking about the second channel, trying to come up with another name. And if this one just changed over to World of Oz, the other one I could swap over to Sean Oz and post any damn stupid thing I want on it.
You're right. And then turn this
world of mountains and mountains.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think it's detrimental to your channel, but I'm just saying that I feel like from what I've seen in the past, I don't think it's a necessarily good thing. And yeah, Lon is true about consistent branding.
Yeah, I agree 200%. And that's always been my biggest thing. I think I finally locked it in to the most part, but that was always the hardest thing for me on YouTube, is posting the same content again and again and again. I just, some of you guys, like, as much as I love drones, I can't just do drones. I would get bored out of my mind. So that's why I pro stuff, mixing a little snowboarding stuff, and it's still sort of the same thing. But I feel for you guys that are able to do it, and not in a bad way, but like is a proud way, like that you're able to constantly put out stuff about like just drones or just one product or one type of content is incredibly impressive. And that you can do it that long, you deserve to get the subscribers you're getting. You really do.
Yeah, thank you.
So here's a great question, because you talked about how you do script your videos. How long does it take you from script to filming to actually edit time to pump out one of these videos, like all those DJI FPV videos? I assume you got it months ago.
It's absolutely different for every single video. Like the flight videos will take me 2 hours to shoot and an hour to edit because that's not scripted. And I just pop up the camera. I say, hey guys, we're going for a flight, put the drone up, fly, land it. That could take 2 hours just because of the setup. I usually will do a flight to warm up, then bring it back. So those flight videos aren't all that long, but let's say the video that I did, the Mavic 2 Pro versus the Evo 2 Pro video, that was a video that I probably put about 40 hours of work into, from the time scripting to going out and flying both drones specifically just for shooting photos and videos side by side with them, to scripting it, to shooting here at the desk, at the table, to going out and getting B-roll of the drone and stuff like that. I mean, that was a larger project that was like 25 minutes long. So that was a heavy lift, maybe not 40 hours, maybe like 25 hours, but still that's a ton of time to put into one video. But then there's other videos that take far, far less amount of time. So I would say like an average video is typically anywhere between like 3 to 7 hours it'll take me from start to finish.
Yeah, that's have you ever had this happen on a video that you put a ton of work into, like that one, and then it just bombs?
Yeah,
and then a video that gets like no work at all and it's just through the roof, and you're like, what?
Yeah, me and Ken did a video about the DJI band where we just like basically popped up the camera. We talked for like 23 minutes, just him and I, put them side by side talking, and that video did 150,000 views. And then I do another video that's, this huge long production, and it gets 3,000 views.
Right. I've got the same thing where I've done videos that take no work, no premeditation, no script, no anything, and it just goes through the roof. And the other ones, I'm like, okay, I'm putting some work into this one, and it just nothing. Go ahead.
I see that it evens out over time. Like you do insanely well on one video, that it'll make up for the time that you spent on a longer video. So it evens out over time.
Sometimes you'll do a video, like I did a video that took me 3 years to do. And I put it up, and it's probably my best performing video right now. So
good. Yeah. So that worked out perfectly for you.
Mule Crusher wants to ask you, is editing the video always the longest part of the video making process?
I wouldn't say it's the longest. I've got my workflow down packed for that. It's basically like I use Final Cut Pro. What do you use? Do you use Final Cut Pro?
I use Final Cut Pro, yeah.
Yeah. So what I find myself doing is I create a new library for every single project. And then because I'm shooting in the same space, same light, same microphone position and everything, I can copy and paste my color grade and my audio, processing over from my previous project. So it's kind of like laying everything down, chopping out what I don't need, copying, pasting from my old one, and then tweaking it, like adding B-roll and stuff like that. So the editing will take, an hour and a half. And that's only one part of the video. It's kind of like I see it in 4 parts. It's scripting, shooting the A-roll here at my table, shooting the B-roll, and then editing. And each part takes like 1 to 1.5 hours.
I sometimes try to film the B-roll as I go along, like, because I'm making stuff up as I go. Usually I rarely script. Sometimes I do, but it's pretty rare. So if I don't film, like if I'm talking about something, if I don't stop after I talk about it, instantly go to that thing and film that B-roll, I'll completely forget, because I'll have no idea what I filmed at the beginning part of the video, at the end part of the video.
Yep.
And then I go edit, and I'm like, so it is slower for me to edit when I don't script. If I script, editing goes much faster.
Yeah. And the way that I do it is, I script out my videos and I kind of have paragraphs that I follow. So I'll shoot the one paragraph, and at the end, I'll stop the recording and start another one for my next piece that I'm going to talk about. So when I'm editing, I know that the final waveform is what I need from each clip, and I'm just banging them out. I'm putting them into the editing, into the timeline. And then from there, also when I'm scripting, I will actually put in bold the things that I know I'm going to add B-roll over. And I add a little note to myself of what shot I need to get for that B-roll. So if I know I've got a long part where I'm just going to have B-roll over top, I shamelessly read right off of the script rather than try to say it, right? Because I know there's going to be B-roll over it.
Exactly. I've done that before, where I script it out on one piece of paper, or 3 or 4, however long it takes to script it. And then I go get more paper and I start writing. I'll go through and I go, okay, well, this section looks like it'd be filmed really cool by the lake over here. So I'll make that, and then go to make a note that that's going to be that. And if I need certain shots over there, then on the new piece of paper, I'll have like A and A. So I match up this with B and B, so I can match up this with that. And I'll even have it scripted out, like, okay, I need to go from this location to this location to this location to this location. And I do admit that when I do it that way, it is so much easier to put it all back together. Then
Yeah. Because the script is not only good for the shooting, but it's good for the editing because you have like a rough outline of what you want it to look like.
Yeah. It's funny, Sunrise Water Media, Chris, he says, I need to make another timer video. And if you don't know what he's referring to, Billy, is when I first started getting a little more serious about YouTube back when the Phantom, or not the Phantom 4, the Mavic Pro came out, the original, I made a 2-minute timer video for my stepdaughter to brush her teeth to, because she was going in to brush her teeth and go, and she was done in like a second. She was like 5 years old or something.
Yeah.
At the time. So I made this, put it up on the YouTube, and now it has like 1 million views.
I think you told me about that.
It's crazy because on the comments we'll have teachers and kids. My teacher has us listen to this while we take tests and stuff like that. It's so cool. Or someone will say, when you're waiting in Minecraft for this to happen, and that's all they say. And you're like, I'm glad I know what Minecraft is. So it's pretty funny. You could make a timer only video channel and you would kill it.
Yeah, right. Watch time through the roof.
Yeah, like a 10-hour timer. There's a thing about that. There's a 10-hour timer thing that for some reason is a big thing. I'm not quite sure why, but you can like type in 10-hour and you'll find tons of people with 10-hour videos.
It's unreal.
So we talked a little about this, but we didn't get too specific. You mentioned YouTube is sort of your full-time job now. Is it actually your full-time job, or do you have another job you have to actually clock in for someone else? Or are you working for yourself both ways? Or
yeah, so I work for myself. I've got my own company where I do like real estate photography, aerial photography for construction companies. I'll work with brands doing like marketing videos and stuff like that. So the great thing about what I do on the side of YouTube is it's one and the same, whereas what you're doing is tattooing and YouTube, two very different things. So, what's great is when I buy a camera, I can use it for my company, for my business, and I can use it for YouTube. Same thing with lenses, same thing with drones and stuff like that. So it's one and the same. I work with other photographers, shooting for them, covering shoots. There's a photographer in New Jersey that I work with, and he's so busy that he'll do 5 homes in a day and I'll do 5 homes in a day, So I'll do a lot of real estate stuff like that, kind of like what Ken is doing. And then from there, I'm actually in the future going to be working with Moment to do some gear guides and do some lessons and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to kind of build off of what I'm doing on YouTube and create lessons on how to fly drones better with them. So that's another thing that I'm kind of working on.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That Ed was out here not long ago, and you know how he sort of slowed down posting for a little while. He's now posting again. I think it motivated him to come back out here and be around other people that are doing it.
Yeah.
But his day job is also making videos.
Yep.
That's part of the reason he slowed down making videos for YouTube, because it was like he did his day job, and then he came home, and it was still his day job. It felt like he was still at his job, so that's why he slowed down for a while.
It makes sense, but the way that I look at it is I'm making videos for other people all day long, and the time that I can finally make a video for myself is when I'm truly enjoying it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy shooting videos and photos all day long because it helps me perfect what I'm doing for YouTube, but it's great that I'm able to go and do what I'm doing, do work all day long, and then come back and finally create content for myself.
It's interesting because you mentioned me tattooing. And that's sort of the same thing tattooing is people will come in and get that little mountain tattoo or a little daisy or a little flower, or I got to do what they want. And then occasionally someone comes in that knows me and my real art, and they'll be like, do whatever the hell you want. And that
must be nice.
You just draw whatever you want. And next thing you know, they've got this crazy stuff all over them.
That must be nice.
It's flattering. The biggest flattery was the first time someone had me do something like that and then wanted me to sign their body at the same time.
Wow.
So that was pretty flattering.
That's great.
It changes their lives, whether you're into tattoos or not.
Yeah.
Get these, it really can change the way they see themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of people that have, like, there's a guy that I'm doing a full leg piece on, right? His entire leg is just this abstract stuff. And he's very self-conscious about his legs. They're very skinny, and he's got no reason to be. They just look like legs. But in his head, he's self-conscious, right?
Yeah.
But now he's like wearing shorts all the time, and he's stoked, and he's like
that's awesome.
Levels are through the roof. So it's pretty cool sometimes. Another thing that's interesting, you talked about how yours are the same, so you can write all the things off. But for me, it's sort of cool because YouTube is now a separate business, so I can write things off. and I take a huge loss. So then I can donate money from my other business to this and say, oh, well, I'm helping this other company. So it's like a big write-off for that company too. So,
Wow. I never thought about that.
yeah, so it's a double write-off. It's great.
Yeah, I kind of have like my company name and I kind of like lump my YouTube channel in there. It's kind of like
Yeah.
a side arm, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's the nice thing is that we can at least write off all these toys, right?
Exactly.
The nicest thing about YouTube, I think, is that you can say, well, I bought a
Well,
drone
You
and I got
can
to write it off.
you can write off like miles too, you know, like if you're driving somewhere.
Because it's part of the set.
Yeah, exactly. The reason you're making money from the stream is because of those Pac-Man machines.
They bring people in. They bring
Yeah.
people. Let's see. So, I had a good one here. Was there a point that, like, when you were first building it, that you got so frustrated that you were like, I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. Forget YouTube. Because I had that point. With me having my business, I'm always torn because they are so separate. And if I didn't put the amount of time that I put into YouTube and I put it completely into that shop again, it would kill it.
I'm gonna say no. I really I mean, I feel like something that would really stick out. I've always had like small doubts about it, and I even right now I still kind of have my doubts about it because I wonder like that my YouTube channel is so heavily surrounded by drones that the FAA could just kill it, you know. And that's something that is always in the back of my mind because drones will always be around. They're always going to be there for package delivery and stuff like that. But the day that they clamp down on the people just flying for fun, man, that's when the views go away.
Yeah.
So that's why part of me wants to say, hey, let me start a second channel for electric vehicles. If this one, if drones eventually just say, look, they're done, then I've got something to fall back on. That's why I've got my company doing other stuff like that. So that's why I'm diversifying because there's always a doubt in my mind, and there's always part of me that wants to stay safe, and there's always part of me that wants to have what do they say, like multiple eggs in the basket or whatever, multiple eggs in multiple baskets. So yeah, I would say that I'm always a little bit doubtful and a little bit skeptical, but I think that that's what helps me, I guess succeed, because if I put all my eggs in one basket, then I could fail.
Yeah. They say that would be something too, because with DJI software, they could just hit a button and all our software doesn't work.
Yeah.
Fly at like 50 feet away then.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine, with remote ID compliance, if you don't have a drone that isn't compliant, you could keep flying it, or they could just say, look, you need to do a mandatory firmware update, which is basically just them saying you have to like send it into us to get some sort of retrofitted hardware put on.
Yeah, because I used to fly airplanes, and you did that completely line of sight. You'd go a few hundred yards that way, a few hundred yards that way, or whatever, and you could fly these drones like that without the apps. But
Yeah.
For me, at least, and I assume for you, what really makes these fun for me is editing the video. Like when I first got drones and they had no cameras on them, I was like, oh, this is fun, whatever. And then as soon as I got one with a camera on it, and then I edited it in iMovie, I was like, oh, this is a game changer. This changed everything.
See, I think of myself as more of like a photographer and videographer, and I just use the drones because they have a camera on them, right?
Yeah.
Like my main purpose for flying drones is to shoot photos and videos. The only time, at first I loved flying them because they're crazy, but once you fly those GPS drones, it's very similar. But what kept me coming back was the photos I could shoot and the videos I could shoot, the places I'd go and bring my drone to shoot with them. But then, once the FPV drone came out, that was like the first time where I was like, man, I think I might enjoy flying more than I enjoy like shooting video. Like I could go out and forget my SD card at home and be completely fine and just fly the FPV drone for fun.
Yes. And the FPV drone, I don't know if you did RC prior to the drones. I used to do RC cars, and then I got into racing. And when you got into racing RC cars, it was a whole different thing. And it reminds me, FPV drones remind me more of that kind of stuff, even if you're flying by yourself, than just like our camera drones.
Yeah, I mean, the most I got in RC cars was just like the cheap ones you bought from like, the store or whatever.
My dad always bought me those. He would never buy me the good ones. Like
Yeah.
Hornet or any of those from when I was a kid. He always got cheap Tycos. And as soon as I was like out on my own as an adult, I went crazy and bought all the expensive Nitro RC cars. just for someone watching right now that's still building up their channel, maybe they're brand new to YouTube, would you suggest any particular kind of equipment to get their foot in the door, just to get started making YouTube videos? What would you suggest?
Phone.
I was hoping you would say that.
You know, I'm kind of going at this with Philly Drone Life. You know who he is?
Yep.
Philly Drone Life, because he was seeing me use the Sony A7 III. He's like, I want that camera. I want that camera. I want that camera. I said, look, grow into it. I'm not saying that you don't need it and that you wouldn't be better if you had this, but grow into it. Start with something that's a little bit smaller. Start with something that's not as expensive that you can buy and learn. And then once you grow out of that, then go and pick something up, right? So I bought the Phantom 4 and I loved it. The Phantom 4 Pro, I loved it. That was my go-to drone. But I always felt like it was like a little bit like it wasn't there in terms of performance. Like I had outgrown it. So then I upgraded to the Inspire 2. And that was when I had a drone that was just so fast, so nimble. So, you know, I upgraded because I felt that I was physically being held back by it. And when you start with a very low skill set, meaning you're still growing and you're still understanding the space, it would be more detrimental to purchase a camera because your videos will probably look worse if you pick up a Canon like 90D rather than if you just use an iPhone and let it do the work for you with its great HDR software. Because if you don't know how to color grade and picture profiles, it's tough. And people might not even know what I'm talking about now. So if you were just getting started, iPhone. I started with my iPhone 7 Plus. I recorded my videos with my iPhone 7 Plus, and that's how I got started. So if you want to get started, iPhone or any phone you have.
Yeah, I started with my phone and a GoPro 4.
Yeah, GoPro.
Let me show you that. You see if you remember this. Where is it? Where'd it go? My parents gave me this for Christmas. This is a mini flip camera. Do you remember?
Yeah.
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 You just flip it. The USB comes out the top. 720p. That is what I really started doing stuff with on YouTube.
Okay. I started with like a Canon Vista, whatever, and that's how I recorded my video game gameplays. I'd prop it up on a tripod and I'd record the screen. So that's kind of how I got started. But then when I actually started my channel and I had like my drone and whatever, I went and I just used my iPhone. I used my iPhone 7 Plus. And when I finally felt that I outgrew that, I didn't go and buy, a really expensive camera. I bought a Panasonic G7, an entry-level DSLR. It's all about the experience. I mean, I don't know if you follow Gary Vee, but his whole thing is like he loves the grind. He loves the process. And that's what I loved. I loved the process of finding something new and using something new. And to the same extent, I'm still in that process. And I love the process of continuing to just improve. So yeah, I mean, to answer it, perfectly, iPhone. And, you've pretty much got the video covered there. And if you want to get like a Rode Wireless Go to like improve your audio quality, maybe that would be another good pickup.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that a lot of kids now are filming on their phones, editing on their phones, and never even touching a computer.
It is nice because when I first started shooting on my phone, the editing software just wasn't there. You had to airdrop it to your Mac and edit on there. And I'm happy because that is more powerful, but they've got such great options now. Like LumaFusion is perfect for editing on the go.
Yeah. I agree. It's such a different world now for the people growing up. Well, not even getting into the COVID stuff. Like, can you imagine the kids that went through this? What are they going to be like in their 20s and 30s? It's going to be really interesting to see what happens in 2020. Yeah. But staying on topic, do you have a fellow YouTuber that really inspires you? Maybe you don't know him in real life. If there's one guy that stands out, I'm assuming Gary Vee might be your answer.
Well, I don't look at him as a YouTuber, more as just like a really great personality, right? But someone like specifically on YouTube, the two people that I watched religiously were Casey Neistat and MKBHD. MKBHD did tech videos, super high quality. Casey Neistat just had like really good stories in his videos. And even to this day, like, he hasn't posted in forever, but that video he made about his brother Van was great. Like, he hasn't lost his touch.
No. Like that, I got to say, Casey was a huge influence. When I first saw his videos, I was like, who's this tool bag? And I watched a couple of them, and I'm like, dude, the editing on this and the stories that he puts together, if I ever start doing this, that's what I want to do. And I fight myself constantly because that is still what I want my channel to be, is a storyteller that puts information into those stories.
Absolutely.
That's what I want my channel to be.
And what I do is like when I first started, I got like 5 or 6 like YouTube channels that I really enjoyed, and I took bits and pieces of them, like the specific pieces I liked from each of these channels, and then I built what I think is like my own style now, you know?
And that's great. All the things I've done with art, bands, everything, immolation or emulating somebody to find yourself is a great thing, and everyone does it. So many people feel guilty for doing it, but if you're watching this, don't ever feel guilty for
No.
biting off of someone else to find yourself. It is a normal, natural process. Maybe give them credit if you're biting off a little too much. That does go a long way. But don't feel bad about that. Like, go out there and learn by copying someone else and find yourself through the process. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, and especially, like when I copied certain things like one for one, and then I realized I didn't like that. So it's all that learning process.
Agree, totally. When you're not on camera, Billy, what other hobbies do you have that aren't drones? Do you still play hockey?
No, I played a couple of games in a men's league, and I started this year. I wanted to play during college, but the practices were at like 12:30 at night, just totally unreal.
Yeah.
So, I got into a men's league, but COVID just kind of squashed that down. And I play goalie for lacrosse. And if anybody knows anything about lacrosse goalie, you get beat up. You a rubber ball, and you wear a chest protector and a helmet and gloves, and that's it. Your arms are fully exposed. You have a helmet on, but your arms and your legs are fully exposed, and you take a rubber ball to the. I did that for 7 years. I'm good. Like I clocked out. I did it during college. I clocked out.
Well, we gotta get you skiing again, because it's been a while since you've done that, right?
Yes. So skiing, I skied probably 3 or 4 times this year. So skiing, I like to do. But dude, I mean, look, I fly drones so much, and I'm still so passionate about it that's one of the things, and I really do. Something that I'm really, and I don't even think that this is a hobby, but I've been trying to better myself financially. So like just financial smarts with investing, with stocks, with cryptocurrencies, with all that stuff. That's been something I've been really interested in, and I feel like that's such a boring hobby, but I find it so interesting that you can almost make your money do work for you. So again, that's kind of a way that I'm trying to diversify myself, just in case, I lose YouTube. I've got something else to fall back on.
I'll tell you, Billy, it's impressive you doing that at 23, because I've just turned 47, and I'm just now learning about all that crap. I was too busy doing other stuff in my 20s.
Dude, the internet makes it so easy. And you see like investing in stocks has almost become the cool thing to do, like investing, like, oh, I bought GameStop, or, I got Tesla or something like that. It's like the cool thing to do now.
Tesla's actually dropped. It was like $800 and something. Yeah. I bought into it. Now it's like it's 600, I think.
All tech stocks are getting beat up.
GoPro just went up. It's up to like 12 months.
GoPro was the first stock I ever bought.
I've got a little bit in GoPro. Yeah. I keep hoping that the Max 2 will be the camera I keep dreaming of, which would be if they could do the GoPro Max and add the resolution of the 9, the frame rates that the 9 can get, like in hero mode, not necessarily 360. Leave 360 the way it is. Just make it so when you switch to hero mode, single lens, that you can get that 4K 60. You can get in 1080, 120 frames a second, and still have the stabilization and that horizon lock in it. And that would be the ultimate camera. Because I say this because I started getting more expensive Canons and all this other stuff, because I don't know if you know this, but I went to college for a little while for photography and graphic design.
Yeah.
At University of Houston before I dropped out and moved to go surf in California. My parents are pissed. I was probably a little younger than you whenever I dropped out of college to go move to California. I think I was 20 or something. Anyways, long story short, I've actually gone backwards, and I'm downgrading cameras from the more DSLRs to the action camera scenes, because the action cameras have gotten so good with their audio stabilization that I don't see the need, except for to have maybe one camera that can zoom in a little bit for those days that you need that zoom, because GoPros they suck at that.
Yeah, no.
So don't feel like you said earlier, you don't need the expensive stuff, because even guys who are doing it like myself are going backwards and getting the less expensive cameras.
Yeah, dude, look at David Dobrik. He's built this like empire off of just using like a Canon DSLR, like not even like a high-end one, just an entry-level, Canon DSLR.
What you're watching me on is the EOS Rebel T7i right now.
Oh, it looks good.
I have no need to upgrade that thing. I might get other lenses for it, but the camera itself does everything I need. I'm not shooting for other people. You yourself, your day job is shooting for other people. So it makes sense to buy higher end stuff. Where for YouTube, I think it's a waste of money. I really do.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it makes the job easier, because if you can get a camera that's just got better dynamic range, it's going to make the color correcting easier, you know. And if you've got a microphone that can capture better audio, then it's just going to make the job easier. Whereas I think you're totally right. Like if it's a one-man show, sometimes like you look at the Sony a7 III, and I would actually venture to say that an iPhone is better because it's easier to operate with a one-man band, you know.
Yeah.
When like those cameras, like the A7 III, are almost designed to be operated from behind to capture somebody else. But when you're trying to be the person in front of the camera and behind, there's a lot of better options than just a DSLR out there.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. All right, let's see a couple more questions, and then we can maybe talk a little about the FPV, unless you have to go.
No, I'm good.
Okay. So with your YouTube, now that you see it hitting this 100,000 subscriber, and you're so close, if you aren't subscribed to Billy, please go over to his channel and get to that silver play button. Because that is the pinnacle, right? To get that in the mail, open it up and go, no.
It is cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I thought I'd see it.
You need to hang it up behind you. Like right there, the only thing on the wall.
I'll obstruct the white wall with one.
Just one thing, right there, and have a little spotlight that shines on it. So like a lens flare coming off. That would be awesome. So in 5 years' time, with just YouTube, I mean, with life, you're going to have all kinds of things change in the next 5 years. But YouTube, do you have a 5-year plan? Where do you hope to be in 5 years with YouTube?
I hope. I take YouTube so like day by day, or maybe like week by week, that it's hard to figure out like a long-term plan. I think that what I'll say here is it's hard to, it shouldn't be like a subscriber goal. Like you shouldn't say, oh, I want to have this many subscribers, because like you and I just mentioned, it's not all about the subscriber count. Companies might see it like that. Like, you know, like a company that wants to send you stuff will say like, oh, you've got 100,000 subs. Now we're going to send you whatever. But if I show them the analytics, you know, that 11% of my views come from subscribed people, they'd be like, oh, you know, who cares about subscriber counts? So I think that that's like a wrong goal to set, and like a wrong metric to set, even though I want this overplay button. But I would say my goal for my YouTube channel is actually to turn it into more than a YouTube channel, and turn it more into like a brand centralized around technology and drones. Because, you know, it's inevitable that YouTube is not going to be around forever. They'll probably be around for decades to come, but it's kind of about solidifying yourself as a brand and growing off of that initial platform, so that, like I said, you're diversifying and you have, you know, a couple different options. So that's kind of my 5-year plan, is to take it from just a YouTube channel to much more. Yeah,
and that's actually a brilliant way to do it, and the right way to do it, in my opinion, because you never know when it's going to be gone.
Yeah, look at the adpocalypse when that happened, right? People were scrambling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was actually a couple other, YouTube-like channels that came up at that time. I don't think they ended up succeeding, but there were people starting to try to branch off and create their version of YouTube. And I don't think they really worked. There's another one out there, Vimeo. What is
Vimeo?
That? What is it?
Vimeo.
Yeah, that's it. I don't post anything to that. Do you?
No, Vimeo has like a different purpose than YouTube. I think it's more of like for like, it's not like YouTube. It's not as popular. It's more of like for storing videos in a sense.
Yeah. Well, that's how YouTube was when it first started back in 2008.
Yeah, and I think it started out as a dating site, actually.
I don't remember that. I remember YouTube just being somewhere to post your videos, and I was posting little cheesy family videos, and I started making, like I said, those makeup ones. And if I had known, oh God, if I had only known, right? Hindsight. Anyways, if you won the lottery tomorrow, let's say you won the 300 million jackpot, would you still make YouTube videos as often as you do now, though?
Yeah. I mean, you know, I always thought that winning the lottery would be great, but you want to work to like continue to, you know,
you gotta have meaning. Right?
Yeah. You have to have meaning. You have to make money. You know, I told you about all the investment and whatnot. I'd probably take the 300 million and liquidate it immediately into Bitcoin. So,
and then the next day it would just,
yeah, right.
Every time I put more money into it, it dips. Like it dipped tonight, and I just invested more into it yesterday. I'm like, damn it.
just following the trends, though, I see that it has potential to continue to go up and up and up.
Yeah.
No, I'd probably take a good chunk, invest it. I'd probably give some of my family and whatnot. But at the end of the day, your question, I definitely continue to make YouTube videos because it's my passion. It's what I love to do. And I don't think I'd upload as much if there wasn't, a monetary value to it and like some sort of, dollar reward in a sense for creating videos. But
would your content change?
Probably. I probably wouldn't script things as much.
Yeah. So I think that's what I would do too. If it wasn't worrying about, hey, can we grow this into something that I can make a living off of? Possibly. I see YouTube as a possible retirement plan for myself one day because I can't tattoo forever. But imagine if you could just create content for you 100% all the time. And hopefully the people that you've already built up would enjoy that as well. Some of them would, because it is a community. The people that become part of the community are the ones that I find enjoy watching whatever you make, pretty much no matter what it is, because it's still the community.
No, you're absolutely right. And to a certain extent, I mean, I really enjoy doing tutorial videos because I myself learn a lot from them too. Like I feel like it betters myself because somebody's going to learn a lot by watching the video, but I feel like I learn 10 times more by doing the research for the video. So it's a good learning experience.
Huge thank you to John for the $9 super chat. I appreciate that very much, guys. Make sure you stay tuned to the end when we're talking about the other stuff. But we'll be giving away one more sticker tonight. What's the best thing to you about being a YouTube creator? Like, what's the best part of the whole process?
Flexibility.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
Flexibility and being able to work at my own time and own pace. I mean, I love the fact that if I've got to get something done, but I have like other things on the schedule, going to visit my girlfriend, family time, vacation, whatnot. Like I know that if I've got stuff planned ahead that I can fit my YouTube stuff, in there. So this upcoming week, I'm leaving for Florida on Friday, right? Before then, I'm able to create 2 videos and I can upload them while I'm there. I can almost bank them in a sense. Yeah. So I enjoy, overall the flexibility.
And it's funny because you say that's actually what I am looking forward to again. Before I moved up here to the mountains and opened this tattoo studio, I worked in Houston and I did private, like I was at a private studio, so by appointment only.
Okay.
For a long time in advance. And when you move to a new city, you sort of start over.
Yeah.
But because it was private and by appointment only, if I didn't have an appointment, I could go do whatever I want. I could schedule it however I want.
Yep.
Then I moved up here, opened a studio, and it has shop hours, like retail hours.
Yeah.
The biggest shocker to me was all of a sudden, oh crap, I have to be there this time to this time, 5 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
That killed me. It still does. It's my biggest thing I hate about tattooing is when you're at a shop with shop hours.
Yeah.
You lose that freedom. So I feel if you could take over somebody else's channel on YouTube, like just bogart it for a day, whose channel would you take over?
Let me run through my subscriptions really quickly to see if I can ring a bell. All right. There's a good one. Ken, Original Dobo. I'd take over his channel and just do something crazy.
What would you do with your channel?
I would probably make a video making fun of him.
That's funny. I wanted to do a whole series of videos like with me like in wigs and stuff and fake hair doing other YouTubers, and I still might do it. I was gonna actually buy like these giant fuzzy things and kid, but I just time takes so much time to make fun stuff like that,
It is the things that are the best always take the most time.
Yeah. So I would love for us that I would totally collab with you and do that. That would be hilarious, dude.
That
you
would
could
be great.
Ken, I'll be you. Someone else could be Ken Heron. We could get like a white wig for Ken Heron, some fake sleeve tattoos.
Yeah, like a shirt with tattoos on it.
What a hilarious video that would be.
And like on the same day, everybody uploads to somebody else's channel.
Right. Oh, okay. So what are your top, if you have like say a few top favorite YouTube channels that you follow, like maybe 5 or so?
Yeah. So like I said, Casey Neistat and MKBHD, I still watch their videos a lot. Just to go to my subscriptions, Graham Stephan and Andre Jick, those two are are financial guys, so I watch a lot of them. Do you know who the Nelk Boys are?
The Milk Boys?
The Nelk Boys, Nelk.
No, I don't. I haven't heard of that channel.
Okay, so they appeal to younger kids, like kids like my generation, and they're basically just complete asses. And
So like Jackass or something else?
no, they basically go into public and they embarrass themselves to make their audience laugh. So for example, like they had this guy just walking down the street. This was one of their most recent uploads, and they dressed up as security guards and they came up and they're like, "Whoa, buddy, are you drunk? Are you drinking right now? Like, look, we're public safety. We're here around the apartment complex. We got reports of this guy stumbling around." And then they radio and they go, "Hey, what was the description of the guy that's drunk walking around?" They go, "I don't know. He's wearing some stupid looking jeans." The guy's got like jeans on. So it's just a bunch of funny stuff. They kind of make fun of other people, but they also make fun of themselves.
Yeah.
Let's see who else. That's pretty much everybody in terms of what I'm watching. Gary V too is someone that I watch. Huge Gary V guy. But yeah, other than that, those are like the 5 channels that I like really look forward to.
I've been watching, and this is so silly, this channel. I don't watch all of them. Have you heard of Cartnarks?
No.
He's a guy who goes around, doesn't show his face, and he's got a baton, and he goes, right? Like he's a police officer with a baton, and he goes up in the shopping cart. Actually, he goes in the like grocery store parking lots to someone who just pushes their cart or leaves it and doesn't put it in the cart corral. And he goes, "That's not where the cart goes. The cart goes over there. Why didn't you put the cart away?" And people are dicks to him, dude. Like, and he stays super nice. He tries to be like all goofy, like SpongeBob kind of, right?
Yeah.
And he's all like shaming people for not putting their carts where they go. And he's like, they're always first. Everyone's like, "Do you work here?"
That's hilarious.
"No, I work at Cartnarks." So he's got like a vest on, and he's dressed up. I've seen what he actually wears. And he's a big dude. That's why they don't fight him ever. He just sounds like he's not.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely hilarious.
That to that point, like there's like a niche for everybody online.
Right?
There
is. And now if you make a living with it, it's different. Like somebody like that, I think to make a living with it, you have to build that community to the point that you have merch for them to buy.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to really make a living off of views, right? So you got to have a community that, like, for example, I just put out, I've been trying the hardest time to come up with a shirt that actually works for everybody, right? Because like I have such a different variety of stuff. And let's see if I can get this to
I think I thought you put up like a sweatshirt that says the World of Oz on it.
I did. I actually just did a t-shirt and a sweatshirt with a new logo that was based off my logo for the shop that I use, which was for Summoning Tattoo. Oh, that's your picture. I meant to share that earlier. That was a picture I saw on your Facebook saying that was the best picture you've ever taken.
You think so?
No, that's what you said.
Oh yeah, no, maybe to that date, yeah.
It's still a good picture though. I actually have another picture I got to share of yours too. Here, let me share this real quick, and then I'll share my stuff. So when I searched Billy Kyle to find a picture to use of you on,
I think I know what you're gonna pull up.
Let's see, is this it? Nope, that's not it. But that is you, right?
Yeah, it is. That's me and my buddies.
Oh, a little bit. And you know what's funny is I didn't have to go back but like 5 or 6 pictures to get to this.
Yeah, that's like my friend taking a picture of me while I'm on the phone.
Because if I was trying to get to pictures of me little like that, you'd have to go back like not even in a Facebook. It'd be like way somewhere else.
Yeah.
It was so funny. I was going back looking for a picture for that thumbnail, and that was like literally 10 pictures or so back. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot he's so young.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great that you guys are going to have that online to see yourselves.
I know, right? Think about that.
This is what I also
yeah.
When I put Billy Kyle, I was like, bam, he's like a jazz musician or something.
So you talk about like what your motivation was. My motivation when I first started doing YouTube was I wanted someone to type in Billy Kyle and my name came up first before his.
You're almost there. It does come up, but it's not first.
I know. You have to like type in like a drone related phrase for myself to come up. But yeah, I remember when I first started searching my name on YouTube to see where I ranked, I was like, who the hell is this guy?
See, that's a cool thing with my name. If you type in Sean Oz, you get like 10 pages of just me.
Yeah, and you got a unique name. I thought my name was unique. Yeah, dude, that's great.
So this is the new one, and let's see if I can make it bigger. It's because it's got the mountains.
Yeah.
And it's
drone
got
too.
a little drone in there.
That's
it's
awesome.
A little drone, like going around the mountains, doing a little mountain surfing. So I thought it might like work for the people that love the mountain content and the snowboard content.
Absolutely.
And the drone is simple enough that it's not like it doesn't kill it for those people, but the people that like the drone content in the mountains, well, there you go.
Yeah, so is that the mountain you lost connection on?
Yes, that is the mountain I lost connection on. That's great. And I put on shirts, and this is one of those Champion hoodies. So this thing is like got some weight to it. It's a really nice hoodie.
The Champion hoodies are great for my business. I've got them, and they're so awesome.
Yeah, so that's the newest thing I have, and I'm gonna make smaller stickers because I didn't think about it. Everyone wants to stick them on their drones.
Yeah, and smaller and smaller now.
And I'm making eyeballs. I was making eyeballs for drones, like all realistic or not and crazy looking. But now that I got the DJI, I put those on, and I was like, wait a minute, I need eyeballs for these things.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of like zombie eyes, skull eyes, like just some weird stuff.
It would be great. You got to try to make them so that they fit the actual. I don't know if that's even possible, but
yeah, it is. I can take a picture of them and then do it to size and scale and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
they fit completely perfect, and it'd be hard to make them wrap around. That becomes a totally different thing.
That front plate though.
Yeah, so like there's some eyes. I'm actually going to have these printed on clear vinyl, so they won't have that white border around them.
Yeah, good idea.
Dissipate into your drone.
Yeah.
So, and something like that would probably fit on your eyes on other things. But I'm actually going to start designing stuff to fit purposely on different things. Like that's an Air 2, and I actually drew on top of the Air 2 to make sure they fit right.
Good idea.
There's rumors all the time. I heard years ago that eyes on your drone actually scare off birds, but I've never tested that.
Really?
It's true though. I don't think it would be.
Look, knock on wood, I've never had a bird attack ever. I've never had to deal with them.
I've had a hawk come after my drone up here. Like it was crazy. I had to throw it in sports mode. I was way up in the mountains, and I saw it like fly by, and I was like, "Whoa, oh shit!" And I looked up, and I was like, "Oh yeah!" So I'm like, throw it in sports mode, and I always remember what you do is you go straight up because they can't dive up, right?
You've got to assert your dominance over them.
Exactly. So you go up, and then you like start doing all this crazy sports mode stuff, and then you haul ass back to wherever you are. But you don't like give them a chance to dive bomb you because they will take you out. Like
absolutely.
Videos of eagles just completely destroying drones. Okay, so last question, and then a little bit on the FPV. I want to show you a video that I'm working on the FPV drone and see what you think.
Yeah.
But with all the knowledge you have now as you approach 100,000 subscribers, one last piece of advice for the guys still watching, as well as for the ones that make it this far in the replay. If you could, let's see, one piece of advice for people watching. If you know everything you know now, what would you tell yourself, Billy Kyle from age of 16, who uploaded his first video game video to YouTube? What would you tell him to do differently?
Ball for me so I can think.
I'll make you big on this. This is all you.
Oh, this is great. Yeah, now you're really putting the pressure on
the spot.
See, I'm happy I'm having trouble with this because that means that I probably wouldn't do anything crazy different from the way that I already went about it. Let's see, if I had to tell myself to do something different, buy Bitcoin,
invest in Starbucks.
Yeah, invest in Tesla. My girlfriend is watching the stream right now, and she's texting me options, answers to the question. Awesome. Say that you wish you started earlier, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess I wish I started earlier, but I did start earlier, right? I started when I was like in middle school. Like I started uploading video game content then. I mean, look, I don't know if I would give myself this advice because I did take this advice, but I would just say stick with it because it's really easy to get discouraged after a while if you're not seeing the numbers grow, if you're not seeing, the monetary gain, if you're in it for, to make a couple of extra dollars on the side. But my thing would be to, don't lose sight of what your actual goal is and what you enjoy doing. And I guess maybe, if you're in it for the money, don't let that, I guess, greed essentially control the direction of your YouTube channel. I'm sure you get them all the time. There's companies that like reach out and say, hey, review my massage gun and all this weird stuff. And it's really easy to say yes to everything and try to get all this stuff, but that's kind of how you bloat your channel. So I think the advice that I would give to anybody and myself, even though I kind of followed this, was to stay true to.
Hold on, ignore that. That wasn't supposed to happen. Sorry, I'm pausing it. Sorry, go ahead.
This is why I don't live stream, because I would mess things up all the time.
Yeah.
I would say, just stay true to yourself, stay true to what you want to upload. And there's always going to be somebody out there that's going to enjoy your content, because just like you said, there's some guy walking around yelling at people to put their, shopping carts away. There's always going to be an audience out there.
I totally agree. That's great advice. I think you're doing everything right. And okay. And I think you should continue doing what you're going to do. I'll definitely love to get with you. Hopefully, whether we get together over the summer or next winter, maybe you can bring your girlfriend out and we can make like a ski date out of it. Get Kelly to bring his wife, get Ed to come out. And,
yeah, definitely. And I'm sure
we can all pitch in on like a badass Airbnb, so we're all like staying in a mansion or something for a couple days. That would be badass.
I'm sure I'll be seeing you sooner than later, though.
Yeah. I just wanted to share this with you because you said you like Casey Neistat.
Yeah.
And I got to ask him a question. I went to one of those YouTube conventions.
Oh, yeah.
And I was first in line. I was so nervous, like to get up in front of, I don't like speaking in front of people I don't know.
Yeah.
So
well, it's one thing to like speak to a camera, but it's another thing to speak in front of people actually there, Yeah.
And this was the day before I went to Spin Up to give my speech. And I was nervous enough about that. So I did this thinking, okay, if I can get up and talk in front of these thousands of people here at this event and ask this question that many of them are probably going to think is silly.
Yeah.
And jump up and be first. Like I bogarted everyone in line to be the first person. Like it's not my style to do that. And I asked him about story versus niche, right? Because he's a very story driven channel, in my opinion. I don't think his niche is story.
Yeah.
To me, that's what he is. So I thought you might get a kick out of seeing his answer.
Yeah, play it.
Let me see if I can get this up here. Okay. It's a volume up. Yep.
Okay. We're going to start with Boy.
All right. So you talk about a lot of the people that try to teach YouTube, they talk about small niche, narrow down your target. You don't do that. You talk about story. So what are your thoughts on story-based content versus really narrowing down to just a small niche?
Well, I think that what I'm passionate about is story. The things that excite me are story. And I think that the negative side of focusing on a niche are when individuals or when creators focus on what they think people want to see. There's a niche here because I think people want to see this. I think that can be a mistake. When that's a positive, when that's a net gain, or when creators have a passion and their passion happens to be a niche, happens to be something hyper-specific. Because it's better to have someone that can speak to one thing to the 100th degree than to have someone who can speak to 10 things to the 10th degree. So I think there's a tremendous amount of value behind that. But it is vital that those creators are attaching a kind of intent to what they're doing. That intent is driven by their desire, not by what they see as an opportunity in this space.
Cool, thank you.
Of course.
That was awesome.
Yeah. So it was actually really interesting because he said basically what you and I have been saying all night.
I got to meet Casey one time. I went to the Spark event when the Spark was released.
Yeah.
And like they do this show, and then after the fact, they're like, hey, come and like, get your hands on it and take video of it and do whatever. So they had a bunch of demo units out, and there's a flood of people. So I got some video, but finally people started clearing out, and I was like, all right, let me go get some video now because there's nobody crowding these things. So I was getting some video of the controller, and somebody like reaches over my shoulder and grabs it. I'm like, who is this guy? I turned around, I was like, oh God, it's Casey Neistat. Yeah, it was really funny. So, here I am. I'm like, who the hell's grabbing this from me? And I turned around and it's him, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. Did he say anything to you?
he was like asking me about my thoughts on the controller, because I think the Spark was like one of the first drones that they sent out to people like early, and his complaint was that he could only fly it with like his phone, because they didn't send him the remote. So he's like, yeah, you need a remote to fly a drone, right? I was like, yeah, absolutely. I never made it in a video, but whatever.
I would imagine that he probably watches your videos when he's getting a new product.
Yeah, right. Nah, I don't know.
I'm sure he got probably this DJI FPV and it's sitting there and he just never used it, never made it, as well as the Air and the Mini 2. They send him all that stuff, I'm sure. He's got to collect that crap in his garage, right?
Yeah, it's a shame that he doesn't upload anymore, because I mean his videos are great, and you know, truth be told, look at what he just uploaded about his brother. It was great. You know, he hasn't lost it.
I agree. So I thought you might get a kick out of this, and the people that are watching, and I do a lot of extreme videos out here with extreme weather, because I get snow and cold and all that stuff. I did one, I don't know if you ever saw it, with the Mini 2 in the snow. Could the Mini 2 fly in snow?
Yeah.
It wasn't just flying in snow. I took a shovel and started throwing lumps of snow at my drone.
Well, look,
go ahead.
That's great, because that's something you can offer that other people can't, you know?
Yeah.
It's something that people want to see. So that's something that makes your channel unique, and it's what makes you special. It's kind of like what Jake does. Jake Sloan, being from Alaska, like he has such an epic scenery that he can share with everybody, and that's something that really helps stand out.
And that's what I do. Is I'm also a lot higher than Jake is, so I do high altitude test, and it's funny because I'll say like flying over 13,000 feet, and then I'll always get that one jackass going, "You didn't go 13,000 feet. You went like 1,000 feet over where you took off." And I'm like, "Oh my god!"
They don't understand.
13,000 feet from sea level, you're a dick.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, so I'm out there today, and this is holy. Let me show you that again. So yeah,
that's a big advantage of the FPV drone, is that it's probably, I mean, they don't say that it is, but it's probably relatively waterproof. I think all of DJI's drones to a certain extent are you know, weather resistant and water resistant. But with these other drones you build yourselves, you do that with that drone, forget about it.
Well, I've landed some of my other FPV drones in the snow, and I do all the other DJI drones. The casing makes them pretty much water resistant. I don't know if they put conformal coating on electronics or not on the DJI stuff, but this one I would think would be the least waterproof, because with that shell on it can actually get under it. And let me show you. A lot of snow on it everywhere actually right now. I don't know if you guys can see that. So I'm going to do a little cleaning job. That was just seconds of it being outside sitting in the snow. Well, I didn't show what I thought I was going to show. I have a close-up of the clear shell, and you can see snow and liquid. Well, it's not liquid, it's frozen liquid all under that shell.
Wow. Well, yeah, I mean, you know, there's gaps all around that it could find its way in. And I don't know, have you taken this off to swap it out for the green shell?
Not to swap it, but when I wrecked, I needed to get a lot of dirt and snow out of it. So I had to take it off as soon as I got back from collecting it, because it was fine as long as I was outside and everything was frozen in it. But as soon as I got inside, it melted. So I instantly removed it. And that's actually one of my pet peeves of it. Is I have a couple pet peeves on this. This is one, is the way the shell comes off.
You feel like you're breaking it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to break it every time I take it off.
Yeah.
Like you get the screws out and it doesn't pop off. So like I don't understand why they even made it have screws. Like they should have just made it so it pops on, pops off.
I think it's so that when they get the drones back, they can easily repair them to send out to be refurbished, you know?
Well, I think it's to make it even more of a pain in the ass for people at home, so that more people will send it to them. Could be. Take the screws off, it's still a pain in the ass to get off.
Imagine if you lost this tool, your life would be very hard.
Well, I mean, unless you're a guy, most guys have like Allen wrench sets. Like I've got some just laying around everywhere.
Yeah, you're right.
Or if you're into the hobby, like I've got some laying around from just other things, like an Allen wrench. If you don't own an Allen wrench set, I suggest getting one, like if you live on your own, because you're going to need it for things. Like you find yourself needing a whole set of Allen wrenches, and it's nice. They don't take up much room. Put them in your toolbox. Good to go for your DJI drone or whatever else you might need it for.
Totally.
But yeah. So that the other thing that I wish they would change is, you know how you can hook the USB-C up to it, stream it out to your phone, and watch on the phone. And when you see it on the phone, it's just you don't see any of the markings, right? I think it should be completely touch sensitive. It should come out on your phone. If you want to like put your goggles down, go through your settings on your phone, tap, 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 you're
Yep.
ready to go. Maybe there's a button in the corner that you tap to make those settings go away. So
Or
when you
like lock the screen.
yeah, so someone watches it and can't screw up your flight or something.
Yeah, I think the Fly app just overall needs to be tuned and just overhauled, because you look at what it does for all these other drones. It's so feature rich, but for the FPV drone, it's like what? You can just update the firmware and you can basically see the video feed out, and that's it. There's no telemetry or anything, which is it's a bummer. They really have to add some stuff to it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to try to find one more file from this video real quick. Give me just a second. I'm looking for it. I didn't have this set up. I just, with John saying flying in the snow was fun, I thought I could share just a clip. So what's interesting to me also is when you put it in 120, it films, it comes out in slow motion. It doesn't actually play normal. Like a GoPro, if you film in 120 or 240, it comes out normal, and then you slow it down yourself later.
I think that I think for an FPV drone, that's the wrong thing to do. But I know that other cameras will do that if you shoot in their slow motion mode, like the iPhone, for example. When you do that, it just slows it down, right out of the gate. I don't know. I don't like that. I wish it would just play in the normal speed and then I could slow it down. I mean, I guess I could do it reverse and I could make it normal speed, but I'd rather it be normal speed right out of the gate.
Well, and it does. It lets you also the Osmo Action does it that way. That's what I was thinking of. Remember the Osmo Action?
Yep, it's a DJI thing.
Yep. So it slows it down too, but the GoPros don't. And I'm with you. I'd rather it not slow it down.
Yeah, they've got to come out with a new Osmo Action. They need a new one bad.
They do. And speaking of which, I don't know if it will actually have the horizon lock like the GoPro 9 does or the GoPro Max, because the camera in the DJI FPV drone, I think, is going to be sort of what the Osmo Action 2 might.
I quite frankly, I don't think so, because that's a step back from the Osmo Action, and if it is, it's going to be a huge disappointment. So I hope not.
I hope that they do copy GoPro. I mean, they copied GoPro the first time, so
yeah.
I would not be surprised if they didn't copy them again.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'm still looking for this file. Hold on just a second. I'm almost there. I have so many things like I need to edit, and I have these file after file after file.
I wonder if they'll come out with a 360 camera. I doubt it, but I wonder.
Eventually, I wouldn't be surprised. Insta360, I think they dominate that market because they give so many cameras to so many people on YouTube for free.
Yeah,
to do videos, so they have so many people doing videos about their stuff, and
well,
I think a lot of people say it's good, even the ones that aren't as good. Like the 1R, great example. I think it's okay. I think the touch screen on it sucked ass. I hated the gaps in between the bodies. I hated working with it in the cold, hated it in the snow. Mm-hmm. I do love it on the X-Night drone, though. I think that's cool as hell.
I love it for the image quality. I mean, 1-inch sensor, you can't beat it, but I just wish that they would come out with one that's not modular.
Okay, so I'll give you that. If you have the 1-inch sensor, that part of it is good. That and the drone, like being able to do that. I think that is both cool things. Mm-hmm. But the rest of it, I think, sort of sucked. Okay, here we go. Took me a second. Sorry. So it was flying in such heavy snow that in 120 frames a second, which I have in another clip, it still looks like the snow is coming down this fast.
Really?
Yeah. Like, and this is not in acro mode right here. I'm just keeping it really close because I don't want it to fall in that water. If it fell in that water, it's gone. I wouldn't.
Yeah, dude, you look like you're out in the middle of nowhere.
I'm like a couple blocks from my house. But the interesting thing is, like, I wouldn't fly my regular Mavics probably over here because, you're looking at your phone, but then at the same time, you don't have that home point to turn around and see yourself on the screen.
Yep.
Right? I would be the home point would be right there. And like, okay, I instantly know where I'm at. And I think that is such a cool thing, and it's surprising that doesn't show on our screens now that it seems like such an obvious thing to me, like with all our other drones.
Yeah.
Let me see. I thought I went up by those houses. And that snow was just dumping down. Like, it's so, like, snow usually looks so cool in slow motion.
Visibility so low.
These houses up there are just insane.
Those houses are unreal.
And so that's all water below me. It's just frozen like ice. Like right now, like if it was in macro, I could turn and sort of dive down, but
Yeah.
it won't let you angle. And even if you're in manual with that attitude lock on, it will not let you dive down. And then you get that weird thing like that when you're in sports mode, like when
Are
you're
you
breathing.
flying from the car?
Yeah, I'm in the car. I was too damn cold.
Oh, you have to.
I've done videos out in the snow before, and I deal with the cold, but with this one, with goggles and all this other stuff, you just can't.
Yeah, no, dude, you gotta fly from the car.
I think I found the slow motion footage too, so let me show you what that looks like. This one here. Wait, hold on, let me double check something. Yeah, okay, this is slow motion. Right here.
Is that audio?
Yeah, the audio is in a separate track, so there'll be no audio on this one. So that's what I think is weird too, is it separates the audio, it still records it, but it's in its own file.
Huh. Yeah, dude, look at that. The snow's coming down like crazy.
So yeah, you still see, like, usually on a slow motion video like this is snow, that snow is real slow. It's just sort of fluffing by and you can see it. But look how fast it's still going by the camera. And that's in 120 frames a second. So you really can tell how hard that snow is coming down. So obviously I still have my drone, so you know that it passed the test. Yeah, that's it. So I'm putting together a video on that. Let me get this out of here. Oh, nope, wrong. Oh, I always mess up live stuff.
How are you liking it, the FPV drone? You like it?
Yeah, I do. I see myself. I've wanted to get digital goggles for the longest time, right? And I wanted to get the remote to go with it and be able to fly digital. Not only just for the drones, but for wings. I have these combat gliders that I've been wanting to rebuild for the longest time for like long range or semi-long range wing flying up here.
Yeah.
I think that would be killer. Because if you do those right, they're gliders, right? So on these windy days with an updraft, like hitting the mountain and going up, I could throw it out and probably fly for like an hour on one battery, easy. Just because you're using those updrafts to or those thermals or whatever you find to just keep flying. You don't actually have to have power the whole time you're flying.
Yeah, that is nice. They're cool cruisers.
Yeah. So my thought was, I get this, that saves me $800-900 right there for that system, and I'm getting the drone for like another $400 or $500.
Yeah.
And now I have these goggles. So as soon as version 2 comes out of the Air unit, everyone's going to be selling drones with those pre-installed.
Yeah.
So I won't have to have a second controller, even though I do have a second controller right now. I can have an FR Sky or FrySky controller that I could put a module to, maybe put Crossfire on it and do all that. However, I'm very about minimalistic stuff. That's why I do the Mini 2 with no Flymore kit.
Yeah.
So the less controllers, the better.
I agree with that. I'm really looking forward to see how they build out this FPV line. Like you said, like new air units and stuff. Like what will that entail?
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to seeing like the stuff that you guys all do this weekend in Florida, because it sounds like there's going to be quite a few FPV drones down there. So hopefully if you guys do crash into each other, someone remembered to hit the record button.
Hopefully auto record was turned on.
Yeah, right.
And nobody switched modes.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I appreciate you coming out and doing this with me.
Of course.
I know we stayed on way longer. That's my bad thing I do with these. I'm still learning. I want every one of my shows to have like an interview with a different YouTuber. And then of course we talk about other stuff too. But it's so fun
for hours. Forever.
Yeah, I've got to make the talking about other stuff much shorter prior to the interview, because it was an hour before we actually got into the interview. So I apologize about that.
No, dude, it was conversation.
Great. So I appreciate you coming. Hopefully those that are still left on the live show, you guys enjoyed yourselves. I think we're going to see some fun stuff in Florida. You have anything that you're hoping to film for the channel, not just a vlog, but for the channel while there, like that you could use other people there with their drones and maybe make some kind of comparison video or something?
Maybe. I think the one thing I'm really looking forward to is actually getting some Instagram photos. I've been trying to focus a lot on like my photography recently. I'll go to places and I come back with hundreds of photos and no video clips, because
Yeah.
I've been shooting just a lot of photos recently. So I've been really focusing on like my photography, and I'd love to kind of branch out because I've been doing a lot of stuff around here, but because of how different of an area it is down there, I'm going to be trying to do a lot of photography on like the beach and stuff like that. And I'm actually going to be driving down too. So anything I see along the way with my drone, I'm going to have it in the passenger seat ready to go.
Are you staying at the beach, on the beach?
Yes, I'm staying like 40 minutes north of where Sebastian is and where the meetup is.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like it got moved to a different location, that there was some kind of shrimp festival going on.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Incredibly interesting. That actually sounds like you might want to sneak away to that and get some shrimp.
Fly some drones and then go grab some shrimp.
Yeah, right. Hopefully they allow you to fly actually on the beach over the waves and stuff. Maybe catch some surfers or something. That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
right. It looks like this is almost like in a bay area. So like there's like a road that connects like the mainland and then like a strip of islands along these sides. So I was kind of looking on like Google Earth and Google Maps, and it looks like a cool spot to fly, but it's one of those spots I'm not sure I'm going to be able to fly for all day long. So I might kind of venture around and see what else I can find.
Yeah, and I would imagine, like, unless there's an airport really close to that beach, I don't know of any rules that prevent you flying over a beach. So
Yeah, no, and I mean, I was looking at just looking at it on maps, because Apple Maps is actually really good to see if there's airports. It doesn't give you like, flight zones and restrictions and whatnot, but it highlights airports in like a blue. So it's really easy to pick them up.
yeah,
And let's see, when I was looking around there, yeah, I see no blue airports whatsoever around where this is going to be at. So looks like there's like a nice golf course right there too. So it should be pretty cool.
yeah, and it doesn't seem like it's a very far drive from that location on the island or whatever it is that they're
No.
meeting up. I looked at I can't remember who posted the video. Somebody posted a video of them driving over to the location. I remember watching it.
Okay.
I can't remember if it was Mitch or somebody else. Anyways, it just looks like a little spot you pull off the road, and it's a parking lot, and then there's a little bit of grass and then water. It looks really small. So hopefully, if that was the spot, someone gets there early and like flags it off and parks there. Because if there's like 40 guys coming, I don't know where they're gonna all park. If that was the
Well,
spot.
I think that is as soon as we squat up, the people will they'll be like, oh crap, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully, with enough people flying FPV noises can scare people really bad that don't do.
Oh
that.
yeah.
So he says, Ray says that you can fly on the beaches, just not over people or in state parks. But that's pretty common. State parks, it's pretty common everywhere. I think that's a federal thing. And Michael says he's looking forward to flying his new. He got the DJI FPV too, and he's only has. Well, he didn't say how many number of flights. He just said the number sign.
I haven't seen if they record flight logs. That would actually be really interesting if what you fly is recorded in the flight logs. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I haven't even checked to see like if you have one flight log in your username and it tells what drone you're using.
Yeah, I'm looking here.
Oh, Ray says he did a video.
Yeah, it looks like it does. Yeah, DJI FPV. It shows it right here in the flight logs.
Yeah, I would imagine that. I mean, that's cool to see. You can see which one you end up flying the most too. And so Matt says that some of them are going to be getting there early enough to take over the location and pavilions that are there. That's good, because from what I saw in the video, if you don't take it over and you have 40 people show up, some people aren't going to even have a spot to park.
Yeah, right.
But and Ray, don't ever do this again in March. That was, no offense, man, but that was the worst timing ever.
Why?
It's not only March, but it's the busiest spring break weekend of March. So I was looking for flights, hotels, because I wanted to have the whole family stay on the beach, on the water, so I could go to the drone meetup and they could actually just chill at the beach. And the only hotels I could find were inland on the other side. So we sort of gave up. And I also looked for rental cars. Enterprise, not a single rental car left. You can't even rent a car at the airport location. No cars. It's
good time for travel. At least they're making their money back from the pandemic, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that is the middle weekend of every March is the busiest spring break weekend of the nation for like any tourist spot, like where I'm at up here in the mountains, as well as Disney World and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So if you don't have kids and we don't really care about spring break, my suggestion would be push it back 1 month and do it in the middle of April, because
Yeah.
then all the spring break stuff is done. It's still not quite summer hot, you know.
Or earlier. I mean, it's still going to be warm down there, and someone like me who's in the middle of the winter, you know,
Yeah.
is going to want to go to a warmer spot.
Okay, Ray says, okay, Sean, February next year. All right, I might be able to make February, although that is the snowiest month up here, so I could get snowed in and not be able to get to the airport.
Or you get snowed in down here, meaning you can't get your
get home. Yeah, and that definitely happened. I mean, I don't know why they're saying April. Yeah, April would be good. I think April would be better than February myself, but that would be cool. I could make it in April for sure. But you guys have a great time. I'm gonna let Billy get out of here. He looks like he's about to fall asleep.
I am, man. I'm tired.
2 hours later where he is, so it's like 12:30 at night.
It's almost 1. It was great. It was great talking to you, though, man.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on. I hope somebody watches this in the replay and they can take something that you told from your journey and grow their own channels that way. And hopefully before this weekend, you'll hit that 100,000. I think you will.
I hope so. I think within the next like 2 or 3 days. So I'm going to create 300 accounts.
Ray, I'm going to suggest that you go out to the grocery store and get a big sheet cake. Do you like chocolate or vanilla?
Neither. I don't want to make it that much of a
somebody's got to do it. If somebody doesn't give you a big sheet cake,
someone's gonna throw it in my face.
Chocolate, half vanilla with a big 100K written on it, then somebody missed an opportunity.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, thank you again. Thanks for having me on. Nice talking to you, and don't stream for too much longer.
Oh no, I got to give away the sticker, then I'm going to bed.
Cool, dude.
Good night, Billy.
Later, man.
Thanks again.
Of course. See you.
All right, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that live stream. I will in the future be narrowing these down so they don't last this long. We'll have to just jump right into the interviews. I like to have a little chat going first to give people a chance to get here, but then it gets so late everywhere that I think we lose a lot of people, and then they have to come back and see it in the replay, which isn't a bad thing, but it's fun to have everybody here talking back and forth because it is a live stream. So we're going to do this last sticker, and we'll call it a night after that. And don't put in numbers because it's not numbers this time. A through Z, give me a letter. Tricked you. I'm waiting. We're seeing numbers still. Come on, switch it to letters. I know there's a delay, so by the time you hear this one, I'll bet you there'll be some letters. Okay, we got A. Looking for the letter, looking for the stop of the numbers, looking for the letters, looking for the letters. And you guys help double check me once I say stop, but don't stop yet because I haven't seen it. I'm actually surprised I haven't seen it. Okay, you can't do that, Michael. One letter at a time, guys. One letter at a time. Letters are harder to read than numbers to do this. Seriously, I don't think I've seen it yet. One sticker left. Come on. Somebody's got to win it. Should we just stop? Should we just call it no? Should nobody win it? Wait, stop. Okay, stop. I see a repeat winner here. Okay, somebody double check me. But we've got the letter W. Can you see it? W. And you get the little guy, little drone sticker this time. And that was Peter H. And I'm glad to see him win because if I recall, he was the one who won the little drone, but he was out of the country. And the bigger prizes I don't actually ship out of country, so I like seeing that he's able to get those stickers because I do ship the stickers everywhere. So double check me, make sure I didn't miss somebody else before Peter, because there was quite a few letters that passed by my screen and it's late and I'm getting tired. So hopefully I did not get the wrong choice on here. If I did, let me know. Otherwise, Peter, shoot me an email with your address again, and I'll put that in the mail. Michael, did you type a W first? You said you don't remember. Are you being sarcastic? Did you type a W? Correct me if I'm wrong. If somebody typed one first, then they get it. That's just how it works. Let me go back and just double check. Now that I can slow it down. Slowing it down, looking for letters. Everything's blurring together. I'm so tired. John did an M. That's close to a W if you flipped it upside down. A lot of F's. A lot of F's in a row. A lot of G's in a row. And still no W's. Just double checking for my first W. Still a lot of people typing before. And yeah, I see Peter. Peter, I think you're the first W. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. And Joe, thank you so much for the super chat. You guys, those things actually do help. I hate asking. I don't really like asking for stuff. That's why I make the merchandise, like the new shirts. I would love to see you guys wearing those. Sort of like, this one was for the shop. However, I've changed it. It now says World of Oz. I took the elevation out and I took the town out and I added a little drone flying around. So hopefully you guys enjoy those. I'm still working on the stickers, new stickers that are going to be smaller that are coming hopefully by summer. There's going to be eyeball stickers for your goggles. There's going to be stickers for your drones. And then I'll also make these guys smaller so you can put those on drones and other things too. I appreciate everybody coming. And if you don't want to go to sleep yet, let me share this. Don't leave yet because I'm going to share this. You guys know I crashed my drone the other day. I'm actually about to switch over and do a live premiere of that video of a redo of why I crashed my drone. I just actually activated it. So if you guys want to head over to that, here's the link to that right there in the chat. And we'll watch that together. And it should be going live any minute now. Yeah, any minute it should start. And we can switch over to that. So there's the link. If you guys want to keep talking in the chat, I'm going to turn this camera off and head over to there myself. It's a short video. It's only about 5 or 6 minutes long. And it is me basically retelling the story of why I crashed the drone and what I've learned and how it actually happened. It wasn't as much, it was still my fault, but it wasn't as much my fault as I originally thought it was. So hopefully that should start any second. Jake, you're still here? That's good to see you staying on, man. I appreciate you staying. Everyone who stayed through the whole chat to this, you all get like huge thumbs up. Very, very cool. Very cool. Okay, that is starting now. So I'm going to head over there and I'll see you guys in the next one in this broadcast. And I'll see you guys over on the new